Have you lost weight only to gain it right back after returning to your routine? Did your diet work for someone else but not you? Rockin' That ID Life helps you understand your genetic makeup to find a lifestyle that fits your needs. Together, you and RockinThatIDLife.com can focus on your health and meet your goals today. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. If you haven't heard, Center Ice Brewery beer is now exclusively available at beer stores around town, so make sure you pick some up on your next milk and eggs run. That's Center Ice Brewery. Please drink responsibly. Welcome to season 10, episode 42. Episode number 360 all time. We're the often imitated, never duplicated. How are you doing? We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. And on the agenda tonight, we will be recapping the Blues season. As disappointing as it was to lose to the Avalanche in 6 games, we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about the offseason and what's to come, what we think's to come, and things that have been said in the past few days surrounding the Blues after they were eliminated from the playoffs. Special thanks to RockinThatIDLife.com and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. It is Wednesday, June 1st, and we're broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook. To interact with the show, we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Do a search for us. You will find us. That's not a request. That's a demand. As we hear Jeff's notification sound on his phone.
Sorry about that. Call. Jeff's on call.
There are children listening.
Overnight. Yeah.
Anyone who's seen the movie Euro Trip knows where that's from.
I'm Kurt Price. My co-host for tonight's big show are Bill Day and Jeff Ponder. Gentlemen, welcome again. I guess this is the last show like this we'll be doing for a while. We're going to have some interviews in the off season that Jeff's going to do, and we'll do some other shows where we watch a game together and do the mystery hockey theater. But this is the last show like this for a little bit.
Makes me quite sad to say goodbye to you fellows for a little bit. I think, though, like I said, we've got some things planned with Mystery Hockey Theater, Men's League Minute. I know that kind of stuff you guys are going to want to be involved in. We'll be doing stuff like that. Those were fun segments. I think we introduced both last summer, right? So we'll be doing that again. It'll be fun. But yeah, there's some really fun stuff that I've got planned. I'm wanting to take a look at, well, first of all, there's a couple podcast guys that we have not had on before that we'll be having on. So the new, oh, Jesus, help me out. The new Blue Note podcast, Blue Note show. What's that new one called?
There's some.
They just started in the playoffs, so we agreed. I'm going to go on their show. They're going to come on ours, so you'll get introduced to them. Locked On Blues guys are going to probably be coming on. What'd you say?
They're going to do what now?
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see.
I
am wearing a Hawaiian shirt. That means I'm a party boy. But
pinch and squeal. How's your father?
Bit. Nothing wrong with that.
We're animals, right? We're out of control. We're fierce, crazy.
We're going to be doing some fun stuff with like blues programs. So I mentioned on Twitter Warrior Blues or Warrior Hockey Blues, whatever they're calling that program. Blues for Kids. I'm going to get people on to talk about the different programs the Blues are involved in. So hopefully you have some interest in that because you'll be able to learn more this summer. So lots of cool stuff planned. Stay tuned. We'll be back every single week.
Every week. Even when I'm out of town, I'm still going to magically have a show appear. And I'll say that a lot of the live stuff will not be done this year, but something I kind of tested a couple weeks ago when we couldn't do a live show. I actually think I'll be premiering shows on YouTube, and then the next day they'll be available on podcasts. So I'll premiere them on our normal time around 9:15 on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So just stay tuned on social media, and I'll be in the chat too. So come on, chat with us while the show's going on, while it's premiering. Still going to have a lot of fun with it. And we might do some news withstanding, right? If there's something big happens, a big signing, something crazy, we may jump on and do a live show. That always happens a couple times in the off season. We'll do something just to, we want to talk about it. So look forward to that too.
Yeah, we'll have, I already have it scheduled that we'll probably have one after the draft, before free agency, and then after free agency. So that's 2 weeks in a row that we'll probably have our regular live shows.
The official beers episode number 360. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle CPrice12. Jeff's is JPonder94. Bill's is Billy Blue Note 33. And I guess maybe we'll switch up next season, but I guess we can do same order for the offseason. Jeff, what do you got?
Yes, sadly, the having me go first did not work out this year. Bill, I just saw your comment. You're a funny guy. For those on the podcast, I have shaved my face. It has been going since, I want to say, late February. So it was the second longest I've ever had a beard. And it was pretty ridiculous by last week.
It's fun. I don't know why it was funny to me. You said, I have shaved my face. I'm like, yes. Well, what do you usually shave? I mean, obviously it's your face. I mean, usually people just say, I shaved.
Do you want me to show you my armpits? I shave those too.
Okay, that's got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Use a woman's razor. That's what I don't get, man. Women's razors, they've figured it out. Us men, we can't figure it out. We're like, oh, we're men. We don't need to have lotion applied to us as we're shaving. That is so delightful.
Do you know what women have figured out?
Everything.
Pain medication. Midol. Women are hogging the Midol. They don't tell men about it. Midol's amazing. You got some aches and pains and cramps. You take some Midol. That shit goes away. And women don't tell men about this. They keep it for themselves.
I'm gonna keep that in mind for the future. That sounds awesome.
Men use like Advil, right, for like strong stuff. But oh no, if you got something bad, you go steal some of your wife or girlfriend's Midol. Yeah,
I might have to try that out next time.
And this has been our new segment, Life Hacks with Kurt Price.
Yes,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so beer of the episode, I think is where we were at. Old Alina Lager from
Old Alina
Centol Ice Brewery. Old Arena Lager, Center Ice Brewery, one of the best cans that you'll find in St. Louis, and just a good sipping beer. So figure this was a good one to end the season on.
That says a lot to say it's one of the best cans in St. Louis, because Four Hands exists in St. Louis, and Four Hands knocked out of the park with their labels.
That's true, but I mean, how do you beat having literally the Old Arena on your can? That's fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's a good compliment to them.
Yes, right. For sure.
In proper blues colors too.
Yes. Not it's the lighter, not the darker. Bill, what you got?
I'm kind of cleaning out the beer fridge at this point, so an oldie and a goodie. Jumping in my hot dog time machine tonight, hoping to go back to keep Callie Rosen pushing Jordan Bennington or Kadri into Bennington. So, yeah.
How dare you even insinuate that's the case?
It's magic. Kadri did it with mirrors, right? He's behind Rosen, but Rosen pushes him, right? Kadri did it with smoke and mirrors. He's a magician.
Just a little trick. It's a trick of the camera. That's all it is.
No, tricks are things whores do for money, Jeff.
It's an illusion. You would know.
Well, I watch a lot of Arrested Development.
Yes, me too.
I was waiting for you to say trick, and you set it up perfectly. Didn't even have to text you to say it. Mine is I've had this like 3 weeks in a row now, because I bought 15 of them. The Lemonade Shandy by 312. It's I like it. I enjoy it, and I'm enjoying it right now in my brand new air conditioning. Ooh. My AC needed to be replaced, so I got a new outdoor unit and indoor unit, new furnace, new coil, everything. So that was installed and finished yesterday, so the house is nice and cool. Not that it's real hot outside, but it will be.
Yesterday sucked. And
yesterday was pretty bad.
The humidity's been building tonight. It's as the days gone on, the humidity's just got shitty.
You know, it did, but and I played pickleball tonight. I had my tournament, my league night was tonight, and it was a little warm. The sun was out off and on early on, but then when the sun went behind the clouds and it got a little cooler, and it was perfect. The humidity seemed to just kind of go away. It was nice.
You're burying the lead. How'd you do?
I won 5 out of the 7 matches I played, so pretty good.
Not bad. Not bad.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
We got one today in Blues history tonight, courtesy of the @STL Blues history Twitter account. June 1st, 2019. Bob Plager, Bernie Federico, Alex Petrangelo, Brett Hull, Chris Pronger did the "Hey Buddy, We're Back" video that played prior to Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final versus the Boston Bruins in 2019. So,
better times.
Yeah, a little depressing actually to read that and think, wish we were there, but you can't win every year. So let's Tampa Bay.
Yeah, true. This may be the first time I just noticed that none of us are wearing blue. All of us are wearing shades of red and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, go Oilers. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oilers or Rangers, I guess.
I'd say I think the orange is saying Rangers or Oilers rather.
Are you guys how are your rooting interests after the Blues are eliminated on a regular season? Let's say they're eliminated. Do you tend to what stops you from rooting for the team that beat the Blues? Is it just animosity, hatred, or something usually happens during the series that makes you hate them? But I mean, do you ever root for the team that knocks off the Blues, or do you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Rarely do I.
I actually was rooting for the Sharks in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, I was rooting for them. The Kings, the first year they won the Cup and they beat the Blues in the second round, I was rooting for them. Because, again, both probably because I have friends who are big Kings and Sharks fans. So I was like, I want to see them win. That'd be great. Because if my team's ever going to do it, might as well watch another team do it that hasn't done it yet. But, yeah, I'll say typically I do root against the team that beat the Blues just because there's a little bit of animosity there, and especially if it's a Central Division team. So
and there's always something that happens during the series that just pisses you off, right? So it's like, fuck them, anybody but them.
Yep.
And I think this year.
Typically, I'll just say I'll have a second favorite team in the playoffs, and I'll say if the Blues lose, that's who I'm rooting for. That's kind of what I do.
I tend to root for whoever's playing the team that beat us.
Yeah,
that's generally not always, but almost always.
Same, and I rooted for the Sharks after they knocked the Blues out in 2016. Same as Jeff. I think I might have wanted Vancouver after they knocked us out. Well, what was that? The year that we surprisingly got in.
Oh no, that was 2009.
Yeah, 2009, way back when Chris Mason gave up the overtime goal to Alex Burrows.
Right.
I think I wanted to see Luongo win it.
Yep, that was me too.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah. I mean, there's no way that I will cheer for Colorado. I want them to fail. I want them to lose in the third round, not get to the final, so that there's pressure on them to break up that group, even though it's probably the best group in the NHL. Right? They can't get to the final.
I can't root for the Avalanche. With the Kadri shit, with the shit last year, the animosity after that, and just the fans. Honestly, I'm sorry. Fans don't deserve it. They're annoying as hell. And I'm not saying all fans. Obviously, there's a great group of Avalanche fans I've known over the years, but the ones on social media, oh my God, they're unbearable. It was night and day with Wild and Avalanche fans. I had a friend tell me before the series started he hated Wild fans, and I was like, really? And then after the series, we got some idiots, but that's always going to happen. But man, Avalanche fans, from the minute the Blues won, actually from the minute the Avalanche won until the Avalanche won against the Blues. It was just nonstop annoyance from that fan base.
It's not just either that it's just annoying. It's or like being a jackass fan. It's I've seen a ridiculous number of fans who just see stuff wrong.
Yeah.
And just aren't calling it as it happened. You know what I mean? Like with the whole Bennington, the whole Rosen Kadri thing. Just fucking like jackass statements, and a lot of it. And it's like widespread, fueled by journalists, who perpetuate this stuff, and fueled by Kadri's lie during his interview, and they just jump on board and not knowing the rules, and it's absurd. It's unreal, except for Dr. Nighthawk. Dr. Nighthawk's cool.
No, she's great.
She's
First and foremost, she's a Blues fan.
She is.
Then she transitions her fandom. I understand that. She's there locally. She gets a pass. Yep. She may be the only one, but she gets a pass.
No, like I said, I know some Avs fans who are not on social media, and they're very cool people. They get the game, they understand, they play themselves. It's the people that I dealt with online. Oh my God, they're some of the worst I've dealt with since maybe Blackhawks fans.
The worst ever that I've ever dealt with. The worst group of fans, Avalanche fans online, social media. By far the worst group of fans to deal with online. And I've been doing this for 22 plus years with discussion forums and social media, blue stuff. But I mean, you think Blackhawks fans and Predators fans are bad sometimes? No, nothing compared to Colorado. Not even close.
We almost got a Reeves versus Maroon fight.
Oh,
but the officials won't let them get to each other.
Oh yeah, I see it. Oh, there it is for me right now. Thanks for the heads up.
We'll go ahead and we'll talk about what went wrong versus Colorado and what the offseason will look like. Maybe right after this break from ID Life.
It's springtime, and I know in my house, it's such a good feeling to open up the windows and let the breeze roll in for new life in my home. Your body's no different. Detoxifying your body can reduce any inflammation, purify your blood, help with weight loss, improve sleep, and boost your circulation. Don't just go after those detoxifiers that only focus on the gut and bowel, though. If you're going to do it for real. The all-new Detox Box from RockinThatIDLife.com cleans all your systems, flushing your kidneys and bowels, detoxifying your liver, and restoring your microbiome for full homeostasis. You'll feel re-energized, restored, and renewed. Make your order now and receive a free detox water bottle with your order. Visit RockinThatIDLife.com or email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com and give your body that much-needed spring cleaning today.
Who wins between Maroon and Reeves in a fight?
Reeves.
I take Reeves.
Easy. I think
all
easy,
my money's on Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Do we need to unmute it for a Wes McCauley announcement?
Maybe.
They're still cleaning stuff up off the ice after they came back from break, so this is going to be epic.
Minute 45 left in the third period. Rangers lead 6-2 over the Lightning in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final.
And we just witnessed a line brawl.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Some action in the YouTube chat. Matt Harris says, "How did Jeff stay with his beard longer than I've stayed with a girlfriend?" Meaning him.
I'm confused. First of all, I meant to say this at the start of the show. Happy Pride Month, everyone. June is Pride Month, so yeah, very cool. Matt, I'm confused. I don't mean to call you out on the show, but didn't think girls were your thing. Am I wrong? I mean, we've talked to him now for a while.
We just got awkward.
Yeah, it totally did. I hope your parents aren't listening.
Oh my God,
Oh.
Jeff.
What? I don't know how else to say it on a live show.
I mean, you could not say anything at all.
No, I had to say something. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. I don't know. Well, I hope Matt's cool with that.
He is.
Happy Pride Month. Okay. The Meeker says Reeves is a beast. Wouldn't Reeves be favored against the entire league? Yeah, almost. And
Man,
he's bisexual. He says he's bisexual in the chat. There it is. Okay. I didn't know that. I actually was unaware. So you like to have your cake and eat it too. Good man.
All right. Yeah, the best of both worlds.
I'm feeling like Kurt and Bill are feeling a little awkward here.
No, I really want to quote Clerks. Best of both worlds.
Yeah, of course. I thought you were going to make some ass to mouth comment.
No, remember the quote from Clerks?
I know. Yes.
Chicks with dicks. Best of both worlds.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, what went wrong versus Colorado? Blues trying to come back from being down 3-1. The Blues carried a 2-1 lead going into the third period of Game 6, but JT Compher scored his second of the game midway through the third to tie it up, and short side on Husso with 1 second left in the Avs power play. Not a good goal on Husso, guys. I mean, I hated this goal personally.
I did too.
Yeah,
I think
it's just one of those things. Short side, he sees it. He's far enough out, hoping. I mean, it wasn't like he picked a corner necessarily. So
I'm picturing contract negotiations right now, and Husso's agent saying, oh, he did this, this, and this. His record was this. Save percentage was this. Armstrong's only argument is, yeah, but that last goal. Yeah, but that last goal. That's all he has to say.
Or half the games he played against Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've envisioned that too, right? The whole what is Armstrong's angle here? And I don't see Husso's side being happy in this whole thing and him coming back. But yeah, I mean he was money during the regular season, and once Bennington took over and his confidence was shot, he had strong game Game 5. I mean, he was really good in stretches in 4 and 5. In Game 6, he played well, except those are bad goals that he gave up to Compher.
Yeah, I mean, the allowing a bad goal, it kind of like cancels out the great saves you make. So it's and then so tie game, Blues are hanging on, right? This third period was awful. One of the worst periods the Blues have played in the playoffs, and they just could not get anything going. The Avs coming, and then the goal that silenced St. Louis, the Darren Helm scored by one of the more heartbreaking goals in Blues history. Not because of the expectations for this Blues team, but just the having the lead going to the third and 5 seconds to go, essentially ending the game without technically ending the game, right? 6 seconds to go, a shot from the top of the left circle through traffic, beats Husso far post. And was it Parayko that dumped the puck into the Avs zone with like 18 seconds to go or something, and they come back?
Yeah, there's no need to turn the puck over there.
I was like, why turn it over? Why not carry it in and try for a shot to try and win it?
Or
like
just
Colorado just did.
Even just fucking carry it back to your own zone. Like, control the puck and wait for overtime. Don't just give them the puck and give them one last chance. That's awful. That's terrible puck management.
I think Parayko, proved to everybody when he put the puck over the glass that led to the tying goal that at that point his mind was on overload and completely shut off. It was just.
It's always Parayko, right? With that play, it's always him. Yep. It's always him in the playoffs, especially. Puts it over the glass every damn time. It's Parayko. I want to like the guy so much, but it's just shit like that in bad times. He did it against Boston. Luckily, it didn't hurt us. He did in the fucking Game 7, the final.
That was the only penalty in the game. Like it was
Yep.
clear. I mean, we've said this a million times on this show. They
They
not
weren't
going to
gonna
call
call a fucking
penalties
thing
in Game 7
unless they
And-
had to.
unless they absolutely had to, and they did. That was the one. It's like, guys, we can't avoid this. There has to be a penalty here, and it's just It's terrible puck management.
The one cut and dry penalty, absolutely. There's no wavering on. You can't have a judgment call go your way. It's like, no, it's just over the glass.
Well, that play sometimes it deflects.
I guess you
sometimes
could say
it skims the glass,
yeah.
right? But in this
that.
case, it was just straight out, and there's no excuse for that. At this point in his career, there's no excuse for him to not be able to either high hoister to the middle of the ice or off the glass and out, and it's just a complete shutdown of the mind. And you know, I'll get my rant about Parayko out here. He is the Jake Allen of the Blues defense. We are wanting him to be something he is not. He is not at all the elite defenseman that we thought he would turn into be. He's a number 3, number 4 defenseman, and that's it. Stop trying to push him to being a number 1 because he's not evolving.
You say Jake Allen, and it is not this bad, but it's reminiscent of Eric Brewer. That's what this team kept doing, pushing Eric Brewer as the number 1 defenseman when he was clearly at best a number 4 at that point of his career. And that's, again, Parayko, I put him on a much higher scale than Brewer, but he's not a number 1. And I think at best he's your number 2. When they had Pietrangelo and Parayko, and it was 1 defense, 2 defense, they were on 2 different pairings. That was perfect. I think that worked out well. You found a guy to fit with Parayko. And I like the question that was asked today. I think it was actually by Chris Frank of the Blues Hockey Podcast. He commented on one of my statuses and said, you know, have you ever heard of another number 1 defenseman? It's always, we got to find somebody who can play with this guy. That's all we hear with Parayko. Oh, we have to find the right guy to play with our number 1 defenseman. In other teams, here's the number 1 defenseman. We can plug anyone in with this guy because he's going to eat up the minutes. With the Blues, it's we got to find the right guy that can play with him. He's not a number 1. You have to find a number 1 defenseman.
Didn't Todd Reardon play with McInnes? Wasn't that McInnes?
It was Pronger.
It was Pronger.
Okay,
Pronger. They were the Tower of Power.
Todd Reardon was a good defenseman with Pronger. Pronger elevated whoever played with him.
Right.
And you want to know what else? I not to talk shit on the guy. He was a fine defenseman for his career, and he does a fine job on Bally's. Jamie Rivers was a top pairing player with Al McInnes. You know, Jamie Rivers was a journeyman defenseman at best in the NHL.
Yeah. I think with Parayko, the expectations were high. He showed some tremendous potential, but then he wound up mostly paired with Bouwmeester when Bouwmeester hit his resurgence after he finally got over the hip issues, and Parayko looked like the next coming. Right, they were such a good shutdown pair. Pietrangelo at that point could play with whoever they put up there, right? But Parayko and Bouwmeester as your shutdown guys, they were brilliant. Bouwmeester goes away, and Parayko starts to slide.
And again, I think he could be fine as a second pairing guy if you find the right guy for him. But again, you have to have a number 1, and he is your default number 1 just because they don't have anybody else.
I would argue at this point that Justin Falk is our number 1 defenseman.
I would
and should be
more than be okay with that if he's your number 1 shutdown defenseman.
Parayko's issue to me is, I mean, I know it's something the Blues fans have harped on him about since he started playing for us, that he is not aggressive enough. He's not mean enough. Now, I think asking him to do that is something he's just not going to do. He's not that kind of player. But I'm telling you, if he had a mental change and he actually played more physical and more mean and more aggressive, just not dirty, just attacked guys more and was more physical in front and on the boards, I think that would elevate the rest of his game. I think that would just it's a snowball effect for improving all sorts of his elements of his game. But he's just soft everywhere. And I think that that just leads to all kinds of problems for him.
And some guys can make up for it by playing like perfectly sound defensive positioning. And
Lindstrom,
I know that
you don't
this is
have to be
exactly
aggressive or
this is
physical.
unfair to bring him up, but Nicholas Lindstrom is the perfect example. A guy who never played a physical minute of hockey, with obviously a few exceptions. But like he was so good at shutting down passing lanes, blocking shots, taking guys out from in front if you had to legally, and doing everything right. And that is who you want from Parayko as a guy who's bigger, much bigger than Lindstrom, and can take up more ice. But he's not Nicholas Lindstrom, unfortunately.
Lindstrom was fundamentally sound. He didn't have to be physical.
Exactly.
You know, he's fundamentally sound. He did well offensively. You know, he was just like a machine back there, fundamentally, like a system. And he had a nice team around him and helped too. But if you're not fundamentally sound, you have to step up your aggressiveness. Yep. And you know, and I think Parayko can have stretches where he is quite fundamentally sound, but man, when he makes mistakes, he makes mistakes.
Yes.
And I think if you were just to play a different style of game, which is not going to happen, I'm not asking him to. I'm just saying, but what if, like what if the Marvel series? What if he did this? I think he'd be a much better player, and it would cover up. It would help with some of his mistakes.
Honestly, if he just used his strength in tying up sticks like he can, that's not even to me a physical part of the game. If he just did that,
just be more aggressive.
That would make him a million times better. There are so many times where the puck will come to his guy and he's trying to block the pass or whatever, but it's like, dude, if you just got your stick on his stick, he's not getting that shot off. Like just be it, like you said, be aggressive a little bit. Yeah. And there's just no aggressive muscle on his body.
Way too many times in the playoffs, you notice him. He's not taking the body when he should. He's just playing soft on a guy. He lets him go wide, lets him beat him wide. And that goal that was scored against Minnesota scored on us, where the guy beat him wide and just took a shot, and it shouldn't have went anyway. It's a bad goal on Husso, but still, it was just a soft play by Parayko. Just that's just his game in a nutshell.
Yeah. And by the way, we will have more on Colton Parayko when we discuss Ponder's 6-point plan in the third segment. So stay tuned.
I'm looking forward to
that. Yeah, well, I'm looking at Cap Friendly right now, and we've got 3 guys with those identical contracts, which Army's cap management on defense has been great. Nobody gets more than 6.5. He's got 3 guys at 6.5, but Parayko's out there till 2030 with a no trade clause, limited no trade clause, and something tells me that Mike Van Ryn might be on his way out as Blues defensive coach if they can't harness his capabilities. I think Van Ryn's done a great job with the rest of the group, but at this point, they need more out of Parayko. And somebody's going to take the ball.
I think that's your major hole. I agree. I do think something needs to change. I mean, I always liked Brad Shaw, but for those that used to listen to any of my old shows, I used to bitch about how let's make a change. Clearly, that it's not working. You're going to keep the same assistant coaches through 3 head coaches. I just didn't like that. I thought you need to see some kind of change. You're not getting what you need. And I think, unfortunately, that's just what we're seeing right now. Unless you can find a way to make a somewhat overhaul on defense, I do think, unfortunately, the sword's going to land on Mike Van Ryn, who's done a fine job with what he's been given. But, I'll say what I said last year. Just not a fan of the way this defense is constructed.
Meeker on YouTube. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say the construct is up to Army, right? But it's the execution and the fact that Parayko hasn't evolved in the last couple of years. He's just kind of been treading water, and the point in the YouTube chat, I can't remember who made it, but Parayko, he panics when he gets the puck, right? In pressure situations, puck goes over the glass. It's a good point.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not even pressure situations. Sometimes you just. Yeah. Ken Morris says, have Colt 55 hang out with Jeff for the summer. That would mean him up.
You know, I don't know. I guess I come off as a mean person on the show. I am not like that at all. You should see me with my kid. I am like Mr. Nice Guy. Like on the rink every now and then, yeah, even in men's league, but it's rare. But yeah, I guess if he's talking about Coach Ponder, I'll have to pull out that persona as for Ted Lasso fans. I guess I'll have to become Pef Jonder. So that way I can kind of tell him how it is and what's the quote? Even freaking Dumbo. What is you guys remember that episode?
Led Tasso.
Yeah, he says something about Dumbo. I can't remember the full quote.
Yeah, I forgot what it was. Okay, so that's a lot on Preko. Moving on to our goaltending in this series. Didn't get the goaltending from Husso that we were getting from Binnington. Binnington had 3 games played. He was 1-1 with a .955 save percentage at the time of. He's probably I think he still does. Had the best goaltending numbers of any goalie in the NHL in the playoffs up until when he was hurt. And Husso had 4 games played, 1-3 with an .879 save percentage in this series. So unless you're scoring 6 goals a game, you got to have tremendous goaltending to win the cup and beat certain teams. And you got to get those big saves in close games. We were getting those from Binnington in the short amount of time that he was in this series. But we did not get near enough of that from Husso. Binnington stood on his head in game 1, lost in overtime still, couldn't get the win. So sometimes not even great goaltending is enough, but you got to have it, especially against a team like Colorado. So
Matt Harris in the YouTube chat, you wouldn't need defense if you just scored 11 goals a game. That applies to goaltending here. So, yeah, do what Toronto does. Just build up the offense. That's all this team needs to do, right?
Yeah, that's worked out so well for them.
No, and I'll
I
add
guess
with this. I think, and again, we'll get to this in a little bit, I'm sure. But I do think Husso might have played his last game as a St. Louis Blue. I just, and it's nothing against him. I think he had a fine season, great season, a spectacular season, and was fine in the playoffs. I mean, he had a couple weak ones on him, but overall, he was fine. But again, you mentioned it, Kurt. Against a team like Colorado, you can't have fine goaltending. You have to have good goaltending, and I just don't think he was up to par. He wasn't up to the challenge against Colorado.
Yeah, we talked about it. He'd have stretches where he was really, really good, and then just have a couple of stinkers, go in.
Yeah.
So it was inconsistent. So what are you gonna do?
Let's face it, like the Blues don't make the playoffs without his play in the regular season.
Nope.
He was great. So people who are worried, about me saying if it's true that Husso has played his last game as a St. Louis Blue, I still think. I mean, obviously the future and Joel Hofer is there. You bring back Charlie Lindgren, those are guys I think that can get you through the regular season as a 1A, 1B tandem. And then again, do the same thing you did this year. Have a battle for the playoffs. Who starts playoffs game 1? And it doesn't matter if they falter because you've got another goalie behind him that can do the same thing, if not better. And we saw that this year. And that was the thing that people were saying when Lindgren came up and was 5-0 and Hofer played pretty good. And the one game John Gillies played, I think there was a lot of people on social media that were like, see, you don't need a spectacular goalie back there. They shouldn't have paid Binnington what they paid him. And it was just like, no, I think it's more likely that the Blues have great goaltending depth, maybe the best in the league. Bill, I'm sure you have thoughts on this, but I thought they just have great goaltenders. Like behind 2 guys in the NHL, they got 2 more guys that could step in and play NHL minutes. Like a lot of teams don't have the luxury the Blues have right now.
Well, I don't know. I think that goaltending, like look at Dallas, right? Coming into this season, nobody had Jake Ottinger as the guy that gets them into the playoffs and only almost gets them to round 2, right? Dallas had insane depth on paper at the beginning of the season, and at the end of it, their number 4 guy is the guy that they're riding and who's doing well. It's very similar to what happened with Bennington a couple of years ago. You never know who is going to get that breakthrough when they finally get the call at the big league level. And, that Ottinger was amazing. I would love, I was one of the idiot few that was advocating for Charlie Lindgren to start Game 5. Right. I thought that needed to be the guy because you weren't going to do it in Game 6. We won Game 5. Of course, you're not going to do it in Game 6. But even if we lost Game 5, if we lost Game 5, it was over. But I don't know. I just Lindgren, I would love to see him. I would love to see him get a shot as a 1B, but I think he's got to play a lot, right? I think he can't be the guy that comes in to spell Bennington for just 10 to 15 games. I think he's got to get 20 to 30 games to keep his rhythm.
And I think Bennington proved that this year, that he needs a guy who can do that. Again, I'll say I think he was. A lot of people would disagree with me. I think he was fine enough. Like, he was good enough throughout the shortened season we had recently, and then the year before that, the year COVID struck. I thought he was good both those years. I know a lot of people disagreed, but I thought he was fine. This season, yeah, he had some struggles. And so I think that shows that if the Blues have a solid backup, who you can say, listen, Charlie, Jordan's not pulling his weight right now. We're going to give him a break. We need you to come in and ride a heater. And I think he's the type of guy that can do that and just play down the stretch and get some big minutes for the Blues. And again, that's what Husso did this year. I think Lindgren's another guy that could do that.
Tarasenko with only 1 goal in the series, not enough from him in this series. Oftentimes he was completely invisible. So his only goal came in Game 5.
Could also be his last game as a St. Louis Blue.
Probably not, but could.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Could be. Yeah. Was it? Who was? It was Ben Frederickson that said that he doesn't want to leave now.
Yeah,
that he's informed the Blues that he wishes to stay.
Rutherford hinted at that as well. So, and Schenn was playing hurt, largely ineffective, had some broken ribs, although he did have 5 assists against the Avs. Most of them were minor assists.
So he had a much bigger series against Minnesota, and I'm guessing that's where a lot of his injuries took place.
Yeah, him and Jordan Greenway, man, that battle that they had.
He had broken ribs. That's why he sat to end the regular season. So he had them then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
and he's still throwing his body around like a fool.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it explains a lot because you knew it had to be something with him because he was so out of character for him against Colorado to just be completely invisible and ineffective. He wasn't doing a whole lot against the Avalanche.
No.
Robert Thomas was a -6 and a no-show aside from Game 5 in the series. He really had trouble with Colorado's pressure. They were in his passing lanes like nobody was this season. They didn't allow him to do his cutbacks and curl arounds to find those passing lanes and to create those passing lanes. Probably a lesson learned for Thomas with the series. He's got to figure that out.
I hope that's a lesson learned because
has to be.
The player that's coming to mind for me right now, and nobody's going to like hearing this, Alexei Yashin. That dude was money in the regular season and could not figure it out in the postseason. I am hoping that is not the type of player he's going to be. I hope this was, okay, I became elite this year in the regular season. They figured me out in the playoffs. Next year, I got to prove I can do it when it matters too. So I'm hoping that's not going to be a comparable player for him, but that's how it looked this year to be sure.
The Meeker in the YouTube chat said, Army today said Tank isn't going anywhere. He didn't say that exactly. He said he's not worried about Tarasenko, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, I think that's what was in Rutherford's article.
But yeah, back to
unless Army said something today after the fact on the radio or something that I didn't hear. But
What do you guys think about Robert Thomas? Are you guys concerned about
He,
his
no,
future? Do you think this is something
I,
he's going to bounce back from?
I think he's too young to be concerned. I mean, yeah, it's a concern. You want him to do better at this aspect, his playoff performance. But with as young as he is, I'm not gonna knee jerk it with him. I'm not gonna say it's a major concern, but it's something he does need to improve on. Hopefully, it's not a stigma he has for his career, because some players get that. Kairu had 4 goals, but to me was quite frustrating to watch in this series. Back checking was horrendous, cost us a few goals in this series. He had 4 goals in 6 games, and I'd actually, 4 goals in 6 games is pretty good in the playoffs. But I'd give him like a D for the series just for his overall play.
So
I don't think.
I'm reminded of
Go ahead.
a great quote from Mr. Burt Reynolds on in the movie Mystery Alaska, when his son, who
Yeah.
refused to pass the puck, scored 3 goals in his big Saturday game, and they're sitting at dinner, and he's talking about how great of a game it was, and Burt Reynolds, who's like the curmudgeony old like player slash coach, and he looks at him and he's like, "You think because you scored 3 goals, you had a good game?" And that's how I look at Kairu with this: is you scored 4 goals in the series. That's great. That is awesome, and I'm happy to see him have some offensive success. But and it sounds so weird to say for a guy that scored 4 goals, you need to see more out of him. Not just when he's shooting the puck, not just when he's on the offensive zone trying to dance around players. More effort all the time. When you're on the rink, skate your ass off. We talked last show about the metrics they had for fastest skaters in the series. Jordan Kairu should be at the top of that list, no matter who they're playing. And he wasn't in the
Yep.
top 5 at all. It was 4 Avalanche players and Ryan fucking O'Reilly, which tells you how
Right.
hard he's busting his ass.
That's embarrassing
Right.
because he's a fairly slow player.
Yeah.
Right. He's a lumberjack compared to
Yeah.
Kairu,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So with Jordan Kairu, I think this season has to be a lesson in self-preservation and physical conditioning management. I think he burned himself out leading up to the All-Star game, and then after winning the fastest skater at the skills competition and coming back, he just disappeared. Right, his game was completely different. He got into really bad habits. It just didn't seem like he could hang through an entire 60-minute NHL game. Before that, there were nights when it looked like he was as elite as somebody like Nathan McKinnon on certain nights. But post that, he was just disappear for weeks at a time. And I thought it was good that he showed up and was able to be a little bit productive in the playoffs. But damn, get this guy to learn the defensive end of the game and how to have some left in the tank at the end of the season, and he could be an elite player in this league. He's still got that chance, but he's got to take lessons from this season and how to better manage himself.
Kairu was really lucky that Thomas saved his ass and scored that tying goal. Because if Thomas doesn't tie that game, Kairu is a goat. Is the goat, not the greatest of all time. He is in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
That game is on him.
Yep.
That's awful.
Let
awful
McKinnon just blow right by him when you just won the fastest skater competition and watched the best player in the league skate right past you.
He's slow striding and reaches out and just gives him a little whack as he goes by. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus, Howard.
In one of my team's group chats, somebody sent a graphic about how basically in Kairu's first 2 full NHL seasons, his point totals are better than McKinnon's. And so he asked, is there a chance that he basically starts putting up McKinnon numbers? And my response to that is actually yes. Like, I've been pretty down on him, but if we can see what we saw for the first 40 games of the season, all throughout a season and in the playoffs, and he has the work ethic that a Nathan MacKinnon does, yes, I think he could be that player. But unfortunately, McKinnon is just one of those freaks who is he's going to do everything. His whole life is focused around being able to be playing at a top level, like a Connor McDavid, like a Sidney Crosby. I don't think we'll see that out of Kairu, but I will say I think it's possible. It's just there's too little too late from him in this season, and I hope we see a much better effort late in the year. And like you said, Bill, I think a big part of it is just maybe he was tired, burnt out from having a really good, hard-fought first couple months of the season, and by the end he's just exhausted and has nothing left in the tank. Maybe he learns how to be able to conserve his energy a little bit more, and we see some more from him. But yeah, I did not like him in this series. I thought, man, we could see a lot more out of this kid.
Maybe he learned to appreciate the smell of kale as Nathan MacKinnon blew past him. And
I was gonna say,
or as Cale Makar skated past him. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Kale?
different.
Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe MacKinnon, when he says eat more kale, he's not talking about the food.
This could get gross. This could get gross.
I eat kale. I eat kale before every game.
This took a turn. This took a huge turn.
Let's not go there.
So not enough from Barbashev. Where the fuck was Barbashev in this series?
Where was he in the playoffs?
He didn't play at all.
And I think that's, when a guy plays above his head during the regular season and you count on him to do that in the playoffs, it's not a good sign.
Or just throw his body around.
I mean, he had a couple decent hits.
In the Minnesota series, he was much more physical. He tried in the Colorado series, but he was just ineffective.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I think we saw him get demoted more to a more defensive role, a more checking role in the playoffs, which I'm fine with. I think, he proved in 2019 that he can play that role. But again, he just wasn't as effective against Colorado. If you're potting a couple goals here and there while playing in the checking role, I don't think anybody's saying anything, even if it's only a couple goals here or there. But the fact that he was so electric and so money in the regular season offensively, and then, again, we've known him to be a good checking forward. We didn't really get any of that in the Colorado series.
Oh,
he was just absent in both roles.
There was no forecheck at all. Any sustained puck pressure we had on Colorado was few and far between. I mean, we had nothing generated, nothing of sustained attack, hardly ever. It was always one and done. Every once in a while, and good power play, score a lot of power play goals. We just should have. That should have been the game plan, really, just to do everything you could to get Colorado to take penalties somehow, some way, dive left and right.
It might have been
something. No Krug, that hurt. Even though Prunovich filled in nicely to quarterback the power play, I thought, but he didn't play enough 5-on-5. So,
right.
And I'll say
he was ineffective.
Yeah. Let's see. There was a couple comments in the YouTube chat I wanted to mention about Krug. The Meeker, I think Krug's puck movement was missed, his breakout passes, etc. I know there was some more, and I apologize that I'm going to miss it. But yeah, I agree. I think his breakouts out of the zone, Nick Leddy did a fine job in what the Blues brought him in for. But again, the team's bread and butter is puck control and getting the puck out of the zone and getting it to the forwards. And that's one of Krug's best parts of his game is getting the puck and sending it out, getting it to the forwards. And that was clearly absent in this series.
Blues couldn't really handle Colorado's speed and pressure game in this series. That to me in this series, that kind of caused a lot of other things to go wrong. They came at us hard. Part of that was what caused puck management to be awful. Also, our puck management was bad on its own too, without the pressure. The only game where we looked like we did most of the season was Game 2. And Game 3 up until Binnington got hurt. When Binnington got hurt, it was like a switch. it all went
Mhm.
downhill. The series was
Yep.
tied 1-1. We were leading in game 3, and then Kadri slams into Rosen, and he takes them both into Bennington, and the team never looked the same after that. It's a shame too, because it looked like they had figured things out after a bad game 1, but then it was like the switch was flipped, and they lost all the momentum and their
Poor
confidence
Kadri.
on that one play.
Poor Kadri.
Yeah. Will no one think of the Kadri?
I mean, poor Kadri.
Think of the Kadris.
He had an empty water bottle thrown it in his vicinity. How awful. God, I feel so bad for him.
Kadri before Husso took the net had 1 assist, and after he took the net had 8 or 9 points.
I think it was 4 goals and 4 assists, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So
yep. Poor Kadri.
He benefited. Yeah, poor
I just
Kadri.
really feel for that hero, that absolute hero.
Yeah, that empty water bottle, that tink tink tink, a few feet from him. That water bottle heard around the world. Oh yeah,
it had to rattle him. Bad.
If you weren't looking, that empty half an ounce water bottle, right?
I sure hope he went to therapy after that.
And
get his head right.
As fans up in arms about it's like it's like Bennington set the
Jordan
Hindenburg
Bennington's
on fire.
a racist. And he's a sexist. Oh my God, they're deleting sexist tweets when he's at the hospital getting his knee checked out.
You know what's so funny is that you hear so much about, he tried to hit Kadri with his stick early in the season. No, he didn't. He went up to Kadri, gave him a fuck you, and swiped his stick near his head. No intention of hitting him. It was like 2 or 3 feet from his head. It was just it was a stupid thing to do. It was dumb, but it was just a fuck you as he skated by. Didn't try to hit him. Don't fucking say he tried to hit him.
If he tried to hit him, he would have hit him.
If he wanted to hit him, he would have. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then and then so that and then there's the people pulling up 10-year-old tweets, dumb tweets that Bennington addressed in 2019. Said, I said some stupid stuff as a kid. It's behind me. I'm moving on, and that was all of it. Nobody cares, but sure, you see him now. It is what it is. You get stupid fans. We talked about it before. Avalanche fans were insanely stupid, all over internet in this series. Unbelievable. Far too often our forecheck and offensive zone time was non-existent. We talked about that a little bit. Didn't have the puck near enough, and when we did, we turned it over and mismanaged it, and Colorado came right back into the zone, usually with speed. If we don't have the puck, that means Colorado does, and they're a terrible team to have that happen to against you, because they're one of the best teams in the NHL, and they will come at you hard and fast, and you just can't give them the puck. If you want to slow them down, manage the puck well. Have the puck.
That is how you beat Colorado. You have to manage the puck, and they just the Blues puck management in this series was awful. Awful.
When you play in men's league, the teams that manage the puck the best and pass the puck around the best, when you can't get it, pisses you off to no end, throws you off your game, and you end up losing to them.
Yeah, I don't know if I told this on the show or not, but this past season on my men's league team, we had a goalie. Our goalie couldn't play, and we couldn't find a sub. Put a guy in there who literally just started playing within the last year. Just learned to play, jumped in net. Literally didn't even know how to hold a goalie stick. We had to show him in warm-ups how to actually hold the stick. It was pretty bad. But what we did was we held on to the puck. Every time they entered the zone, we'd have 2 guys attack, get the puck, make them dump it in. We grab it, and we would just hold the puck and just pass it around. It pissed off the other team so bad they could not get the puck from us. They must have taken 6 or 7 penalties in that game, and we took none. And we ended up winning the game 7-2. And they were furious because they're like, guys, just shoot on this guy. And we just wouldn't let them. And easily just a stupid men's league story, but in a larger scale, that is how you win games. You control the puck. You control how the play goes, and you're going to win most of the time. But the Blues just did not do this at all in the series.
Not enough high-quality chances on a clearly rattled Darcy Kemper. He was letting in some soft goals, and we just didn't get to him enough. He was he was not good in this series, and not, super frustrating. He's fighting it, letting in softies, and you can't get your game together enough to really pepper him or relentlessly pressure him for any length of time to give him a tough period on the ice. It just didn't happen enough, and that was frustrating because he was beatable, and we just couldn't get to him enough. All right. So we're going to take a break here. And on the other side of this break, we will talk about the off-season stuff, starting with Callie Rosen and the end of the season interview stuff with Doug Armstrong. Also, Jeff Ponder's 6-point plan.
It'll be great.
Do you like hockey? Of course you do. Do you like beer? Of course you do. Are you 21? Let's hope so. If you answered yes to all of those questions, run on down to your local beer distributor and pick up a 2-4 of Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, or any other delicious hockey-themed beer from Center Ice Brewery. That's right, Center Ice Brewery beer is available at various beer stores around town, so check around for the one closest to you. That's Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Nice. That was a good one.
That's great.
That might have to be saved and clipped.
Yes.
Nice.
Wow.
That's something you find on like the Wave Depository. Ooh, beer can opening.
Mm-hmm.
So some off-season discussion we got going on. Callie Rosen re-signed. 2-year, 2-way deal, $762,500 cap hit. Did you guys see the response, the general response to this? Well, general response to Rosen before this deal. And I don't know how you guys feel about Rosen in general. Maybe we disagree on him. I like this. I like the depth, the organizational depth signing. But some people wanted to part ways with Rosen. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
He injured Jordan Bennington. How can we sign him?
Hey, injured Jordan Bennington? You say what now?
He took his job.
Perfect. No, I think it's a smart signing. The fact that it's a 2-way minimum deal, not the league minimum, but $750 2-way deal. He can, play either place. I think it's smart, right? He at first, he was a bit of a whipping boy when he first got into the lineup, but once he got up to speed at the NHL game, he was effective. Why not have that guy for another couple years?
Yeah,
smart move.
We talked about Robert Bortuzzo last week, our last show, about how I like that deal. I like Rosen. I think honestly, if you have a better structured defense, again, I'm not a fan, so let's keep that in mind. But you have a better structured defense. You have a better top 4. I think Callie Rosen could easily step in as a bottom 5 or 6 defenseman on any team in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, I think there's a lot of holes defensively, so he's going to get exposed. But I think if you play him right and you play him with the right people, he's a solid NHL defenseman. He does a fine job. He's a good puck mover. He's quick. He's smart. Like Bill said, early in the season, when they had to put him in just because of salary cap reasons, he looked very out of place. But I thought inserting him in the playoffs, how many times in the playoffs did we say, I'm sure you guys did the same thing watching the games, ooh, that's a good play by Rosen. We always say defensemen like him, they're better when they're not noticeable. If you don't notice them, that means they're probably doing something right. But there were times where I'm like, that's a great play by Rosen. He played that perfect. And I love this deal for the Blues and for him.
He's got some offensive instincts. And like you said, he's a good puck mover. I think that, and that's a nice, he's not just a guy who plays a decent game, a fine game in his own end. I think he moves the puck well, and he makes he pinches in the offensive zone when he should. gets involved. I like that with him. I think he's he's not amazing, but I think for 762, I think it's a really good deal for him.
Oh yeah.
Right. Right. I didn't like it when we gave up Jake Wallman in the Nick Leddy deal because I thought, he was a solid 6'7" guy, but if you got a guy like Rosen that can fill in this easily, not a bad deal, right?
That deal's looking better and better. I mean, obviously Nick Leddy, very good chance he moves on. But for the run, for what it was,
it was the right deal.
That turned out to be the right deal for the Blues.
It was a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
And Oscar Lundqvist was in the arena for what game was it?
Game 4. Game 4.
Game 4, right? So
I'm so glad this show was not tearing apart the deal. To get Leddy. I like I like the fact that we were all kind of like, okay, Leddy helps the team. That's good. It's not exactly what we wanted, right? But right. Yeah, I mean, this is Leddy is far better than doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And can you imagine had Krug not gotten injured in the first round, like the steady pairing, like being able to roll out a true top 4? Jesus, that I think we would have had a lot better chance, right?
I think so too.
Injuries were such a bitch this postseason. I mean, two key injuries, right? You lose Bennington because of Rosen, and then you give Rosen the money. I don't get it. But you lose Krug to that, to a freak play, right? It was just a collision where his knee went into the leg while he's going down. Not good. But man, but that's the breaks you need, right? 2019 was the year that didn't happen to us. Yep. And,
so
who knows? Tomorrow night, Nathan McKinnon might come across the blue line and run into Darnell Nurse's shoulder. I don't know.
I'm not one to normally
push him, though.
I'm not.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'm not one to normally call out somebody's typo, only if it's funny. So Derek has a typo here. Do we like Rosen more than Walmart? He means Wallman. I do like Rosen more than Walmart. I really do.
I do not. I mean, okay, I like Walmart in a way, but I hate Walmart at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship I have with that store.
I do love Walmart because they're open late, and most of the time I realize I need something, it's right before bed. That's the reason I love Walmart.
But soon, Kurt, we will have to say, do you hate Walmart or Meijer more?
Meijer.
Do you know that? Meijer is moving in. They took Menard's spot.
That's right. I heard Menard's was which is good. There's a fucking Lowe's and Home Depot right there already.
Right. We don't need to save big money half a mile from Home Depot and Lowe's. Right. No, we don't need.
I was looking forward to saving big money though. I heard you can save big money there.
Yeah, 11%. But you got to bail in rebate every time. It just sucks.
I don't do that. All right, so end of the season interview day was Tuesday. Bennington's thoughts on the collision with Kadri. This made some waves because Bennington was just being honest and just kind of said what we already knew. But apparently, as fans were all butthurt about this again. Bennington said it's a physical sport. It's playoff time, and he's going to go to the net hard, talking about Kadri, and that's how it goes. I don't think he intentionally was trying to do what he did to me for me to get injured, but I think he knows how to play hard, how to go to the net, and it happens in this sport. So for me, it is what it is. I just have to kind of deal with it. And Bennington was wearing a brace on his left knee and confirmed he won't need surgery. He said the knee is going to be all right. And the time off allowed to heal properly. He wouldn't say whether he would have been able to play in the Western Conference Final if the Blues had advanced.
Yeah, and I actually, again, we'll talk about water bottle gate here in a minute, but with this, and this bleeds into him talking about the water bottle, I love his honesty here. I really do feel like he's being honest. Like, yeah, he was clearly pissed at Kadri for what he did. We all know that I agree with him. He didn't intentionally hurt him, but he was intentionally trying to crash the net and
Sure.
maybe try and get a reaction out of Binnington. So for him to
What players do.
basically say that here, I love it. I love the honesty from Binnington here.
It's what players do. Players crash the net, and given the opportunity, those players that go to the dirty areas and get a little more physical in front, given the opportunity, they're gonna hit the goalie. They're gonna. I mean, if they get hit, they're gonna fall into the goalie. Kyprios did it on Fuhr, and he admitted that he did it on purpose. Players do it on purpose to knock the goalie, to rattle the goalie, get under their skin, get them thinking about the traffic in front. You know, try and knock them off their game. That's what players do. Anybody who doesn't understand that and thinks, oh no, you know, Rosen pushed Kadri in there. He didn't want to try to minute. He wasn't even aiming towards him. He wasn't going bullshit. He crashed the net, and he was like, I'm gonna crash the net. If I hit him, I hit him. I don't care. I'm crashing the net. Contact be damned. That's exactly what is going through his mind.
I think his thought is the same thought that every single player, when they're playing against a goalie on a heater, whether it's men's league, whether it's juniors, whether it's NHL, whatever, we all talk about this on the bench. Goalie's playing really well. What does everyone say to each other? Oh, let's try and
crash the net.
Crash the net, get him off his game, rattle him. And that's exactly, I think, what Kadri was doing. It's just because of his history. It's like, God damn it, dude. You never learn, do you? But again, I said this at the time on the show. I think I was with Vanessa that co-hosted. If that's McKinnon, if that's Makar, yeah, I'm pissed. But I'm not like, that fucker does this all the time. You know, like if it was them, okay, I'm pissed, you asshole. But with Kadri, it's like, dude, this is your game, and it's so fucking annoying.
I'm not even saying that he deserved to be suspended for this. I don't think it's a suspendable play at all. I'm not even saying it's a dirty play. I'm saying this is hockey. And anybody that doesn't think Kadri went in there welcoming contact is oblivious to how hockey works. This is just part of the game. And I'm not saying it was dirty. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it. What irritates me about that whole play is the sheer ambivalence, the ignorance that Avs fans have about this play, thinking that Kadri is some angel on this play when he is absolutely not. He knew what he was doing. He went to the net, and he very well could have made contact with Binnington. He didn't care if he did or not. He's not trying to avoid contact there at all. So Binnington and the water bottle gate story. So this is Kadri was smiling, laughing in the interview, and Binnington was there in a knee brace walking by, and Binnington said, I felt like it was a God-given opportunity to throw that water bottle. Empty water bottle, he said, landed like 2 feet from Kadri, Binnington said. And the fact that such a huge deal was made out of this little tiny empty water bottle that didn't even hit Kadri. It's not like he reared back and threw it as hard as he could, and it smashed the wall above his face, and then this water went everywhere on TV. You know, it was
yeah. I will say, if that's a full water bottle and he throws it at him,
and it hits him,
that's shitty as hell. Even if it doesn't hit him, even if it doesn't, because he's still trying to hit him, I'd be like, that's shitty, man. What are you doing? And I agree, he shouldn't have done it at all. I don't think anyone in St. Louis is going to argue that. But to make it a fucking federal case, to just be like, what the hell? What? And then for him to, okay, there are things that people are saying. I felt like it was a God-given opportunity. Have you seen the people make this into a racist thing? Well, your God may be saying that, but Kadri's isn't. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That, to me, now I'm not trying to put words in Binnington's mouth, but to me, quote unquote, God-given opportunity, that is a colloquialism. That is not something where he was like, God was speaking to me to throw this water bottle. It's a phrase people use.
Right. He could have just said the fates aligned and I had the opportunity and I took it. Right. Same
exactly thing. What that
same
meant.
Sentiment.
It doesn't matter what he said. It's people wanting to hate on Jordan Bennington for
Mhm.
whatever reason possible. And they'll take
Because
the
he's
water
a
bottle
sexist, racist
and
pig.
hate on him because of that. And they'll take his words and hate on him because of that. I personally, and this may you guys may think less of me. I'm glad he threw the fucking empty water bottle at Kadri. Do you know what I did one time? And Bill may remember this. I don't know.
Took a slap shot at Bill's head.
Nope. We were trailing.
That happened
We pulled
too.
we pulled the goalie. We're trailing. Other team gets the puck, skates to center. I'm on the bench. I take my glove and I chuck it at the guy as he's skating across center. I throw it at him, and I just missed him. Like the water bottle. But I'm like, I didn't give a fuck. We lost this game. They're gonna put it into the game's over. I threw my glove out there. I was pissed. Who gives a shit? Well, the game is over. I threw a glove. Is it childish? Yeah, it really was. Am I proud of it? I think it's funny. I'm not really proud of it, but I think it's funny.
Did it make you feel better?
A little bit, and I have the story today. But was it was what Bennington did childish? Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you something. Listen to any of the chirping that goes on nonstop in a hockey game. It's all fucking childish bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much childish bullshit that goes on during a game that fans may not even know about. And they're going to throw a fucking stink about an empty water bottle that lands 2 feet from Kadri. What do you think Bobby Plager would have said? What if a player, after the game comes over to Plager when he was still around and says, "Hey, one of those guys just threw an empty water bottle at me after the game. Almost hit me." And Plager's like, "So who gives a fuck? Go beat the shit out of him if you don't like it."
Yeah.
Right.
And wait till next game.
Cares?
Remember who it was.
Old time hockey, and you're gonna fucking complain about an empty water bottle? Who's gonna? So fucking soft.
The thing that pissed me off.
Anybody upset about that is so fucking soft. It's pathetic.
The thing that really pissed me off about the people bitching. I mean, if you look at like Rutherford's tweet about this or the video of it, I think the Blues might have posted it. I can't remember. But like all the fucking baby Avalanche fans are like, "Oh, he's a toddler. He's a crybaby. Oh, why would he do this?" And I'm like, he is literally, again, like I said, telling the truth. He easily could have just been like, "No comment," or "I didn't throw that. No, that wasn't me."
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want?
You
from
saw
him?
how the no comment. You saw how no comment went with Berube.
Exactly.
They hate that.
But I'm
saying
like,
that too.
He literally could have just been like, "I didn't do it." And then what? Then it's the same thing. It's you're fucked if you do, and you're fucked if you don't.
You can't tell the truth.
What he does, he is going to get in trouble by stupid, dumb hockey fans who don't understand how emotion plays into the sport.
Right. Kadri and the vocal segment of the Avalanche fans around this incident came off as whiny little bitches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Soft, whiny bitches.
Yeah.
It was a fucking empty water bottle that didn't even hit him.
And
I'll say,
one thing.
God.
Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say the one thing that I take away from this is that Bennington's living in Kadri's head a little bit rent free right now. So
Bennington's in
can't wait till next season. And I can't agree more with Ken. In the YouTube says, "I love Bennington's fire. He adds color and character to the game." Definitely can't argue he adds character to this game.
When you think about like goalies like Hextall, like you look back at Hextall, Billy Smith, real good, Patrick Waugh, really good character goalies in the game, right? And you think back on that era of goalies, you think back of it fondly, even though there was a bunch of fights and hits and
long
borderline
suspensions.
Stuff. Yeah, right.
Ron Hextall and Kent Nilsson.
But you look back on it, you're thinking, man, that was great. That's just fun. It's fun fan stuff. And then now we're fucking defending a fucking empty water bottle being tossed.
Right.
I will repeat what I said when I had Vanessa on, because I know you guys might not have heard this part, but all that I said was, I'm like, for people who are calling for a suspension, and then the idiot, the absolute fucking moron Avalanche reporter who brought race into it. Sorry, that to me makes you a race baiting idiot and not Bennington a racist.
Sure.
But aside from that, I could see the NHL, and I would be perfectly fine with this, if they just had a representative call Bennington the next day or same day, whatever, and just say, hey, man, come on. You can't do that. Don't do that again. Please don't. Don't make us take action. Don't make us do anything about it. Just please don't do it again. That is the type of response that should come from that, not, oh, God, the NHL needs to review this and get involved. And no, a simple phone call, don't do it, man. That's not a good idea. Just don't do it.
Surely the NHL is going to look at this. I'm like, what the? Yeah, unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah, the NHL had to come out and say that they did review it, right? I think they told Rutherford, they had to come out and say, like, yeah, we looked into it, and there was no further discipline. That the league was just like, are you fucking kidding me? We really have to put out a statement like this?
Accusations of race, yeah, you have to look into it, but it's bullshit.
Right, and I'll tell you, the race thing aside, if I'm Jordan Binnington, I'm lamenting the fact of the era that I'm playing in right now. Right.
Yeah.
I am getting called, an asshole and a bully for throwing a fucking water bottle.
Empty.
To your point, Jeff,
water bottle.
Empty water bottle. Ron Hextall, 8-game suspension into the following season for a 2-handed slash on Kent Nilsson of the Oilers in 87, right? Patrick Waugh, 8-game suspension for slashing Warren Babe of the Minnesota North Stars in 91, I think it was, 91.
Did Billy Smith ever get suspended? Because he fought a lot of people.
Right.
I'm sure he did.
But it was, right. I think by the early 90s, the tide was turning, probably because of Hextall. But Binnington has that fire, right? Has that tenacity and that desire to mix it up that just, doesn't exist a lot in goaltenders anymore. And he's in an era where nobody's going to engage him, right? He's got Philip Grubauer or Devin Dubnyk at the other end of the ice that won't engage, right?
Oh, Philip Grubauer will gladly engage him on Instagram.
Fuck Dubnyk too. He had every opportunity to fight Binnington. Yeah. Bennington was like, let's go. And Dubnyk's like, well, I'm standing on my goal. What do you want me to do? I can't leave my grease.
Right. Right. I'm like 6 foot. I'm 6'12" and 270 pounds. You're 6'5". You're gonna beat my ass. I hate.
What Kadri should have. What Kadri should have done when Binnington waved his stick at him. Kadri should have said, "Let's go. Drop the glove. Let's go."
Mm-hmm. Right.
He should have. I would have been like, good, do that. And then Binnington, what's he gonna do? Then we'll see. If Binnington pushes out, then you got a gripe as far as him, starting shit without backing it up. But until somebody challenges him on it,
this leads me to a question I wanted to ask you guys tonight. Do you think Game 1 against Colorado, whenever they play him next season, Binnington, do you see him trying to drop him with Kadri?
No. I think somebody will.
I think Schenn will. Right, Schen's the guy on this team that does that. He proved it this year, waving the stick. I don't think anybody in Colorado is going to engage him. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I think they should go after Kadri and not dirty. Try and fight him, and then the next period try and fucking fight him again, and then third period try and fucking fight him again. I don't care about the game. I don't care who wins the game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, taking out Falk 2 playoffs ago, and then taking out Binnington this season, fuck him. You got to answer to that shit. You can't play that way around the net. You can't play reckless and not answer to it. And Schenn tried to make him answer the bell, and he wouldn't do it in the playoffs.
Well, so did Perron and so did Buchnevich.
Yeah.
Right. He turtled when Perron, David fucking Perron, he's not a tough guy at all. He fucking Kadri turtled when Perron jumped at him.
Somebody needs to put him through the glass. But I mean, I'm not advocating, anybody, McSorlium or anything. I'm saying fight the guy and bash his fucking face in with your fist. That's what needs to happen to this guy.
Hit him a little harder.
Easier said than done because you just didn't have to do it. I don't care if you get a couple of game suspension. I don't think the team would care at all if somebody ripped his helmet off and pounded on him when he's turtling. I don't care at all. I think he deserves that because he's that's just what he's done to this team the last 2 playoffs. He's got to answer to it. Hockey code says so.
Yep. Well, and again, the NHL isn't doing anything. I know that they get suspended 8 games against Falk. But how many times has that dude been suspended, and you're only laying out an 8-game suspension
10
for that
times.
hit?
10 times.
Dude should have gotten 20 to 30 games for that hit. And
I disagree with that. I think 10 games max for the hit on Falk.
I'm fine with that too.
I think
I thought 8 playoff games was a lot. That's like 16 regular season.
Right. For a guy like him, it has to continue to be progressive. Right. And this year, it's, there's enough gray area that, he's not going to get suspended, but the Blues have to make him answer the bell next year. Right. Yeah. He wouldn't do it during the playoffs. Got to make him do it next year. Unlike Mark Stone, right? Mark Stone's never fucking paid a price.
Shen broke ribs on 3 separate occasions. This was found out during the interviews. The last time was on April 21st in San Jose, forcing him to sit out the last 4 games of the regular season. Shen said he was in San Jose on the last one, and I didn't have the puck, and Brent Burns drove his elbow and his forearm into the back of my ribs and broke them. Shen said, you sit out time, and you kind of get as healthy as possible in the playoffs. It's the reality of the sport, and I'm not the only guy banged up in the playoffs. So again, we touched on that earlier, but we knew it was something with Shen. Yep. Krug, Berube on Krug. If it was up to Krug, he'd have played in Game 6. If it was a tough call for Berube, he said, with his injury and with Marco Scandella's injury, I didn't want to go 7D. It was tough. He was ready. He could have played probably, but I didn't think it was worth it at the time. Power play, maybe it would have been. It's a tough call, but if we got past that game, he would have been in Game 7. So that was interesting to me.
Super close for Krug.
Yeah, and we knew he was skating, which was kind of a surprise to some, I guess. But hearing he would have been in Game 7, that's encouraging. It's not that serious. So now, okay, so Jeff, you've been touting this 6-point plan you have for the Blues this offseason.
I have.
Yeah.
So
has it grown to 7 yet?
It is
not.
I can't.
Okay, you know what? Because guys, I want to say, if you're watching the video, you are in for a treat. I've got a graphic to go with this.
I'm watching the video.
I will say it should be a 7-point plan because there is one thing I did not include that I think needs to happen. David Perron needs to be re-signed. So I did not include that in this, but I think that's pretty clear. That needs to happen.
Okay, thoughts and views of Jeff Ponder are not endorsed by Let's Go Blues Radio. Okay.
Oh, so do you disagree with that?
No. I'm just it's a blanket statement for what all you're going to say, and we'll go back to it. I'm joking.
Okay,
go ahead.
Well, here is Ponder's 6-point plan, and keep in mind this is less of a plan, more of a wish list. But just because for fun, I'm going to call it my plan.
It's a PowerPoint presentation. Very nice.
Yeah. So Ponder's 6-point plan. First, you sign Ville Husso to a bridge deal, and you trade him at the 2022 NHL draft.
Are we talking these one at a time, or are we going to read them all and then we'll talk
about
it?
I'll talk a couple at a time here. Number 2, trade Colton Parayko before his no-trade clause kicks in on July 1st. So basically before his contract kicks in, which I know is uncommon, but again, this is more a wish list than a plan. Number 3, and this is one that's going to draw a lot of ire, I think, trade Vladimir Tarasenko. And number 4, and this is where we'll pause for a second, trade for Jacob Chikren. And the reason I pause there is because there's potential you could combine points 1, 2, 3, and 4. So basically, get Jacob Chikren, find a way to get rid of Husso, Parayko, and Tarasenko. That cleans up some cap space. I think if you get Chikren, I like him, honestly. And I was against Chikren coming here, honestly. But if you could find a way to move Parayko and bring in Chikren, I actually like that better for this defense. What do you guys think so far?
Been playing a bit much of NHL with the rules turned off.
This is NHL GM mode for sure.
I'm not okay. I actually was thinking about the Blues signing Husso and then maybe trading him at the deadline. Play him a season and trade him at the deadline, but that wouldn't help necessarily for the season as far as who would get for him. Yeah, I mean, I think you have a hell of a time trading Pareko. Even, I mean, I
I
know
think
teams. I know
I think there's
teams would like
buyers.
him. I guarantee you, teams would love to have him. But that 8-year contract, that's a lot for a team to take on. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, but 6.5 million.
I know.
I mean,
He's
the
still the
cap's
right
only going
side
to
of
go up.
30. Right, he's the right. Well, potentially.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have another freaking pandemic.
Well, recession's coming, but
That's true. All right, so we'll keep moving. Number 5, and this is one that's
Well,
probably.
hold on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You said talking about number 3, trade Tarasenko. He has a no trade clause too, though.
Yeah, but I think he proved before he'd be willing to try and move it. Now he's probably not getting moved to Arizona, but maybe
Well,
you move him
and
and make a good lateral
he,
move to bring in somebody else.
yeah, but I think he wants to stay now. So if he has,
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, maybe that doesn't happen then. This
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
like I said, more a wish list than a
Okay.
plan.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
And-
number 5, and the only reason I say trade Tarasenko, even though I think he had a rough playoff, is
Salary?
more just let's get a new voice in the room. I feel like this team, it's not working lately. Ever since they won the cup in 19, I'd like to see them make some fairly significant lateral moves to try and bring in some new faces into the roster. So number 5, I think if you can, now this discussion can obviously go very sideways. You re-sign Nick Leddy, but only if you can get him at a low dollar amount in a low year. So maybe he signs for $4 million, but it's only for 2 years. I'm fine with that. But if he's asking for a 5-year deal at 5+, absolutely not. That has Scandella written all over it. I think that's something that could be good for the Blues if you can get him for just a couple years, a bridge type deal until some of the younger guys are ready and Perunovic is ready for full-time minutes. But what do you guys think about bringing back Nick Leddy?
I think it makes sense if you can get rid of Scandella.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about what his actual salary is this year, right? Or this past season? 7 million?
Yeah.
7 million. He made 7 million last season. So I'm not sure exactly how much he would be signing for. It can't be anywhere close to that.
Right. He agreed to to help Detroit get to the floor basically with that deal he made last year.
Yeah. So number 6, sign it, and this is the one that is like really fantasy type shit. So again, you're trading Tarasenko, so you need to find a way to kind of pick up that production, sign, and then obviously possibly trade for if there's a couple RFA names in here: Evgeny Malkin, Claude Giroux, Patrick Laine, Johnny Gaudreau, or Matthew Tkachuk. At least one of those guys, bring them in. And obviously, Matthew Tkachuk would be the big haul for this team. I don't think that's going to happen. I could see more of a Johnny Gaudreau being brought in.
Matthew Tkachuk is an RFA, so they'd
have to trade for his rights or sign him and deal with losing a bunch of draft picks.
Well, they have to offer sheet him because he's an RFA.
Exactly.
So right. That'd be a mess because they would lose a ton of draft picks because he's going to get like 9 million.
Yeah, he's going to get a max deal basically.
So
the only way you're going to pull him out of Calgary is if you overpay for him.
I don't know. Well, if because of Calgary, not because of him. I'm not sure.
Right.
He would hold the Blues' feet to the fire for salary necessarily. Granted, this would be his first big contract too, though. So I'm sure he wants to cash in. I'd love to see him here. Man, I'd love to make that work. I don't think it's going to work. I'd love to do it though.
Yeah.
I could see more of a Claude Giroux, which that's a little bit on the older side. He's only, I think, 32. Yeah. But like I could see more of a Giroux, even a Laine or a Gaudreau. But I think your biggest get there, the most possible get, is Johnny Gaudreau. He's the one that probably would fit the best.
Yeah, but I don't know. I get the impression that him to Philly is pretty well going to be what happens, right? Philly's got the cap room now that they've unloaded everybody. He's a Jersey kid. It makes sense. I'd love to see him in a Blues uniform, right? That would be a coup for the Blues to get him. I just don't see it happening. I think he's going to break the bank. I think he's going to get max cap that the Blues can't give.
I mean, out of all the players, I mean, aside from attitude issues, I think Line is the guy to get. But I just, his desire to play is in question. So
you'd have to find a coach that would basically allow him to manage the game he wants to manage. That's the only way you're going to get him to be the type of player he can be. But the issue with that is the Blues have a very good system with Berube as the head coach. And I don't know. I just don't see him basically changing his play style again to fit Berube's system. I agree with you, though. As far as a sniper goes, holy shit,
Yeah.
I'd love to have his ability on this team. I just don't think he fits the system well.
Yeah, I see more him more as a Brett Hull than a Teemu Selanne in terms of where he fits in historically. And Hull didn't learn the defensive side of the game until he left St. Louis. Line is now a stop in Columbus, which they're not going anywhere right now. Bring him here, for the right price. Okay, I still tend to like our upside with Kairu and Thomas better than I like bringing in a guy like Line. I don't think he's slid far enough to that the risk is going to be worth it.
I do like the Chikren idea. I'm on board with that. Part of me wants to stick it out with Parayko, but if you can move him and get Chikren, I'd be willing to try something different.
Yeah, and that's again when we were talking about Chikren earlier in the year, my thought was you've already got plenty of Chikren on this team. You don't need another one. But if you move Parayko and you basically flop him out for Chikren, I think that again, just to have a different face as your number one defenseman and a different play style to a certain extent, and a guy who I think can handle the minutes. I would love to see something like that. It's just easier said than done. There's going to be 29 other teams going after him.
Yeah, and he's making $2 million less than Parayko too, so it's going to take. That's interesting because I think Parayko, like we talked about, Parayko is highly regarded across NHL, and
not by Craig Button.
Not by Craig. Yeah, but it's funny because every time you hear an opposing team's broadcast, they praise the guy.
Yep.
And the broadcast crew, any like TNT guys or the intermission shows, always praising Parayko's abilities, which he does. He has sky high abilities. It's just we see him every game and we see the frustrations. He frustrates fans by his inconsistency.
As a 2 to 4 defenseman, it's hard to find a better 2 to 4 defenseman in the NHL. It's just right now on this team, he functions as the number one, and it's just not the right role for him.
Right. And I feel like we're getting to the point of, we think we've seen everything he's got to give in this uniform. Might be a change of scenery situation would be better for him and better for us. It's not just you, it's me.
Yeah.
But I think it's time. I think we've tired of it, of waiting to see him become who he's not going to become, and let him go somewhere else.
Yeah,
I think like I said before, I think he needs to change it. He needs to change his style to reach his full potential, and I don't think he's going to do that.
Right. Right. And unless you can convince Chris Pronger to become, his guru, right?
But yeah,
you make them just be together always so that Pronger rubs off on him somehow. I don't know.
That's something too. That's not even really something that's taught, because Pronger has said a number of times that his style of play, it's just how he's always played. It's how he knew how to play the game, and it's just in him. That's how he plays.
And he
That's who
would
he
be
is.
suspended out of the league at this point in time, right?
Yeah,
He
right.
could not survive in this day and age.
Right.
Just
O'Reilly has 1 year left and wants to stay. Contract extension talks will start this summer, probably. He has the same agency as Pietrangelo, which is Newport. Blues want to handle this situation better than last time. He really struggled recovering from COVID. That came out earlier in the season. He didn't have the jump or the stamina for over 20 games because of COVID.
And that was something I think a lot of people discussed. It was pretty apparent when you saw him come back, because I thought he started off the season great, but then when he came back, he just was not the same guy, and it took a long time to see him get his stamina back.
Right. And with as much as he gave in the playoffs, Jesus, you do not, if you have the guy telling you he wants to stay here, you make that happen. Right.
Yeah.
You know, especially in wake of watching Pietrangelo go, right. That whole situation, you know, we're sitting here tonight lamenting that we have Parayko instead of Pietrangelo, and you can't let that happen again. You can't let Ryan O'Reilly go.
There's not a chance he doesn't resign here. Not a doubt in my mind he's going to resign. They'll resign him.
I actually agree, which is surprising because I normally don't feel confident with players definitely returning. I just feel like with all he's been through in his career, you know, the situation in Buffalo, the animosity he had in Colorado, he's found his home here in St. Louis, and he's more than happy. He's captain. He seems to love his teammates, love the city. I think he will gladly sign any reasonable deal that's put in front of him. So I'm with you. I think he sticks around, and honestly, like, and I know that people probably say this about other players all the time, and it's never true. I feel like as he gets older, as long as you're not signing him to a ridiculous, you know, like give him basically the same contract he has now, as long as you're not doing that, I think he's still going to be effective as he gets older. He's not going to be your top line center. You're not even your number two, but I think he's still going to have that strong defensive side of his game. He's going to be a great penalty killer, great back checker, great leader. I think that as he gets older, he's still going to have a lot of the same greatness that he has now.
He does what he does now without speed too. So I mean, with age, you slow down. I think, and a lot of his play, like you said, is derived from his defensive game. So, and your defensive game as a forward is one of those things where it kind of sticks with you longer as you get older. You remain effectively defensively. So hopefully that will maintain for him.
Yeah, and I think,
look at how I was going to say, look how effective he was against McKinnon in this series, right? McKinnon had one good game in this series, and that's because they got away from the matchup most of the time, and O'Reilly wasn't on his game the rest of the time. You know, if he can continue to play at that level while still slowing down, being able to be a shutdown guy, yet contribute offensively throughout the playoffs, no brainer. He should retire a Blue.
Well, and he doesn't play you think about David Backes as a defensive center. He played a very physical game. That's going to grind you down a lot faster. Ryan O'Reilly, he's physical to a legal sense, but he's not throwing his body around like Ivan Barbashev does. You know, like he's making the smart play rather than putting himself in danger. And I think we're going to continue to see that, and you can have a long career if you play that way.
Right. His dedication, his training, no player that I have ever witnessed in my 45 years of fandom has come close to what he puts in and day out. And if he can continue to do that, his contributions will be immeasurable. He's the kind of guy that everybody says you want him to be the role model, but nobody can live up to that. Just let him be him. Let him be the captain. He leads very well. Don't expect everybody to follow that example, but Jesus, keep the guy here. right? He is so effective at what he does, and he's such a heady player. Probably the most intelligent mind when it comes to the defensive side of the puck for a centerman that I've seen. He hasn't won a lot of Selkies, right? Bergeron, he's playing in the era of Patrice Bergeron, but Jesus, he's so good.
Jason Smith in the YouTube chat says, I assume he's a Colorado fan. I ripped
Yes,
Kadri
he's an
last.
Avalanche fan.
Yeah. I ripped Kadri last playoffs, but almost no one outside of Missouri thought this was an intentional play. Perron was far more cowardly and dirty than anybody this series, but Kadri probably won't be back. Can't afford him. I don't think anybody is saying that. Well, most people aren't saying that Kadri intentionally or injured Bennington.
I think
Bennington said that himself. He didn't think he hurt him on purpose. What we've said and what we continue to say, and what is honestly is the truth, is that Kadri crashed the net. Doesn't care if he makes contact or not. He's crashing the net, and if he makes contact, he makes contact. He's there to disrupt the play, to score a goal. He's trying to score a goal, and if he hits Bennington, he hits Bennington. He didn't care. If he hits him, he's going to try and throw him off his game. That's just goalies get bumped. Players do it on purpose, or they don't care if they bump into him. They're going to go after the puck. I'm going to the puck. If I hit the goalie, I hit the goalie. I don't care. That's not me saying that Kadri intentionally injured Bennington. That's just me saying Kadri's being aggressive, crashing the net, and just doing what players do, and that's being aggressive. And I'm not saying he should be suspended. I'm just saying that he is not an angel, because he more than welcomed contact with Bennington. More than welcomed it. He didn't care if he hit him or not. Wasn't trying to avoid anything.
Well, I think the other part of it too is the fact that he lied afterward and said he was pushed into him, and it's like
that didn't help him at all.
Just admit you were crashing the net and you had contact with the goalie. Don't blame the Blues defenseman when video evidence clearly shows that was not the case.
Yeah, and all it took was Kairu to say that he was pushed, and that's all I've heard from 90% of Avs fans online was that Kairu was pushed. I'm like, Rosen was Kairu was behind Rosen. Rosen's not gonna. It's such a lie. So, anyway, thanks for the comment, Jason. I haven't read this yet. McDavid MVP. One player that I see put in more work than any other player I've ever seen is Cale Makar. He is inhuman. He is a fantastic player.
I fucking hate him for being so good. He's that type of player.
But Jason said earlier too about the Perron was far more cowardly and dirty. Was this because of the cross check and jumping on top of him, Kadri?
I think that's really riled up Ravs fans.
So that's far more dirty than anything else that happened in the series. That's far more dirty than, to me, that's a play. That's a penalty. Throw him in the box. That's a penalty.
Right. But it had nothing on what Jared Spurgeon did to Pavel Buchnevich in round one. That is a 4-game suspension, but now not even a 2-minute penalty.
Not even. Yeah. So, what Perron lost is cool. And the Avs got a power play out of it. And they got a goal, too.
And they basically scored on that power play.
Yeah. So
it was a 5-on-3 because Buchnevich also got a penalty on the same play.
Yeah, and I think what Perron did was what Perron did was a penalty, and he got a penalty for it, and the Avs scored. Score settled. I don't know why Avs fans are upset about that. They took advantage of the power play. They scored. Perron got a penalty when he deserved to. What's the problem? It wasn't. He cross-checked him in the back, knocked him down, jumped on top of him. Yeah, now it's not out of the blue either, because Kadri had just taken out Bennington, who was performing better than any other goalie in the playoffs. So the team is rightfully pissed off. Bad. So something was going to happen. Kadri was going to have something happen to him, and he's lucky. He didn't get destroyed.
I think he will next season. I think we'll see that, but that's only time will tell. We'll see we'll even see what team he's on. He might not even be on Colorado. The Meeker says, he did say that.
They can't afford him. So
yeah. The Meeker, I think, has our comment of the show, folks. Again, if you are new to the show, and you're wondering what you win for comment of the show, the answer is nothing.
But
the
our
Meeker,
respect.
But our respect. The Meeker says Rosen and his go-go gadget arms.
Yeah. Yeah. Smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Tarasenko earlier. Don't have to talk about him much anymore. Armstrong was asked whether Tarasenko would be on the Blues roster next season. He replied, "I'm not concerned about Vladdy for next year at all." So read into that with you will.
So let me ask you guys: if the Blues are like, let's say, playoff bubble, they're almost in, or they're almost out, or they're way out of the playoffs come trade deadline time, which I don't think it's going to happen. Do the Blues move him?
If they're out of the playoffs, like
if they're out of the playoffs, I think so.
Okay, what about if they're a bubble team?
Well,
what if they're like right at the wild card?
Yeah, no, I think if they're out, you probably got a 75% chance of moving them. If they're a bubble team, I think it's closer to 40%. I don't think that you move on from a 30 goal scorer, right? Maybe if they have a thought that he's injured again, move on. But otherwise, I think he should stay here.
Jason Smith said Spurgeon has no history, is Lady Byng finalist, but literally tried to break one of your guys' legs. I'd be far more pissed he didn't get suspended. History matters, but so should intent regardless of history. History matters in the case of Spurgeon, but not in the case of Kadri. Just saying.
Well,
because if you're
right,
if you're assuming there's no intent with Kadri, but history should matter then, right? I mean, he's 10 suspensions.
Yeah, but the thing
I'm not
right.
saying it was dirty. I'm just saying. I'm just being a dick.
We hate Nazem Kadri as a dirty hockey player here in St. Louis, right? There are some people who hate him for stupid other reasons like racism.
Yes.
We hate him because he is a dirty hockey player. And if he signs here next year, holy shit, that would be like the Blues, right? That would be like the Blues signing Jeremy Roenick to an offer sheet when he was at his prime in Chicago, right? Or
the Cardinals did sign Will Clark back in the day.
Hey, I love Will Clark. My favorite left-handed swinger of all time.
Will Clark had a great season with us, right? Or a great time with us when the short time it was here.
Oh, nice.
But Will Clark was an asshole.
Rookie.
Nobody liked him.
By the way,
I'm with Bill.
That brawl.
I like Will Clark too. I'm with Bill.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
You like Jamie Benn too.
I do like Jamie Benn.
I don't like Jamie Benn.
I would welcome Jamie Benn on the Blues. But I would not welcome Nazem Kadri. I know that is so fucked up. I get it. I totally get it. But I hate Nazem Kadri. No way.
He's a great hockey player, and he doesn't have to be that way. He doesn't have to play that way. And I honestly think he doesn't know the line. He doesn't know where the line is.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I think the only reason I like Ben is because I have an affinity for the Stars.
No, I don't.
Because I lived there for a short period, and that was right when they started ramping up and getting better. And, that was the year they had Sagan. The first year was Sagan when he put up like 100 points. Like that I honestly think is the only reason that I have any for Jamie Benn.
Does it have anything to do with not servicing the ladies?
You know what? I'm no comment. It's probably best to just say no comment.
I have hated the Stars.
That is a Will Clark rookie card.
1987 card, right?
Lucky Charm.
I have hated the Stars ever since Craig Berube. Nice.
There you go, Bill.
Is that when Berube
that's
was
beauty.
racist?
I think I've got that. Right. Berube, the guy whose nickname is Chief because of his First Nations heritage. He's a racist piece of shit.
He's a racist piece of shit, yeah. So I have hated the Stars ever since when the Blues swept the Blackhawks. Rick Walmsley, my first favorite goalie. When the Blues swept the Blackhawks and then they lost to Minnesota, I've hated Minnesota, the Stars, the Stars ever since then. And then they had that rivalry in the 99, 2000, 2001 era, right? That and we took Turek from them when he left. So that was
that worked out so well for us.
And Hull goes to the Stars, right?
Right.
So I've had a hatred for the Stars for a long time, actually.
Oh, I hated them. I hated them in the early
Darian
2000s
Hatcher
for sure.
Darian Hatcher,
yeah,
right. Fuck Hatcher.
Darian Hatcher. Oh my God.
Who was that? Oh my God, John Sim. No, it wasn't John Sim. I hated, but there was somebody on that team. There was another player on that team
with the skateboards on his legs.
Grant Ledyard.
Craig Ludwig.
Craig Ludwig. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The fucking illegal pads that should have been outlawed, and he got to wear them.
Right. Same shin guards he wore at North Dakota in the 1970s. The Hockey Hall of Fame called and asked if they could display them, and he said it's a package deal, only if I'm there too.
That's a pretty good response.
You. So Perron wants to be back. That's pretty obvious. Armstrong was asked about it, and he said if he wanted back, he said I sure would. He said he fights Father Time better than anyone, than 95 to 99% of the NHL. What he did this year was spectacular. He's a very good player, and more importantly, he's a better person. I've seen him grow and become a husband and a father. I've seen the influence he's had on our younger players. They see the competitiveness that he has on a daily basis. He's a true pro and has been a very good St. Louis Blue. And if we can make it work out, I'd love to. And Rutherford said on this, bank on it happening. So Perron is back probably.
We're going to see a decline with this team, and we're going to see them miss playoffs. It's just how it goes when you build a cup roster. Eventually they're going to crumble, and hopefully it's a short rebuild afterward. Anyway, we'll see. But those are two guys I want to see. Bill, you mentioned earlier, Ryan O'Reilly should retire as St. Louis Blue. I want to see the same with David Perron. I'd love to see those two, like a Wainwright, Molina, Pujols situation where maybe they both go out at the same time, and it's just the final victory lap of these two veterans. I want to see that. I want to see those guys retire in Blues uniforms, and maybe when it's all said and done, one or both of them get their jersey number retired, because they've been great ambassadors for the city of St. Louis, and they've been just great Blues overall on the ice.
Yeah. I'll tell you, no one thing this year has made me feel older than hearing David Perron is 34 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
that's messed up, isn't it?
Holy fuck. How did that happen? How did 16 years go by with him in the NHL, right? And he is my favorite player on this team, right? What he has done over his career, going from the kid who barely played any junior hockey and didn't know how to act in a locker room to becoming the consummate professional that he is. God, thank God there's not another expansion draft, because that's the only other way I see him leaving here. God, he is just such a great guy. I want him here, retiring.
Jason Smith. So Jason is making a lot of comments here about the Perron and Kairu situation. He says Perron in Game 4 was as dirty as anybody this playoff.
Not as dirty as Spurgeon.
No, Spurgeon was the dirtiest.
Not even close. Not even close.
And
right, was it clean? Fuck no. But was it dirty, suspension worthy? No. Spurgeon was suspension worthy.
Yeah.
Jason said it himself. There's no comparison there, right? And it's a revenge thing, right? You took out our goalie. You're a dick. You took out Falk last year. We want to fight you. And Kadri turtled.
And Jason Smith says again, if Kadri was so dirty intentions, I'm not sure with it. Why is almost nobody who's not a Blues fan disagree and think it wasn't intentional? I'm not. Has anybody? Have we said I keep saying it's. I'm not saying that he meant to hurt Bennington. No, I keep saying that it wasn't intentional. No. Bennington said that himself. But his play.
It's the repeat of the track record.
Players in the NHL who go to the dirty areas have no problem bumping the goalie. They're going after the puck, and if they hit the goalie, be damned. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They're going to go in there, and if they hit the goalie, well, that might disturb the goalie. That might throw him off his game. That's what hockey players do. Like I said, Nick Kiprios admitted that's what he did, and he says players do. I've in the shit ass men leagues I play in, they do it there. It's just you bump the goalie. You do it to you don't care if you hit him or not. It's not like you're intentionally hurting him or anything like that, or you may not even intentionally go to hit him. But if you're getting hit, you may fall into him. You may not stop yourself from falling into him. That kind of a thing. I'm not saying that he was dirty on that play. And he says, if you're going to kill Kadri, hope you ripped Perron because there is zero doubt of his intent in Game 4. He was a cowardly thug that night and usually isn't. I don't think you'd say it's intentional if it wasn't Kadri. He cross-checked Kadri down from behind and he jumped on him. I mean, yeah, I'm not defending Perron in that play at all. He
got fined, and I think we all agreed that he deserved something.
Sure, right. He did, but I mean, it's not like, Kadri was fine. I mean, he knocked him down. He jumped on him. It happened. That's a. I don't condone what he did, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not sure why you think that's so terrible. He didn't cross-check him in the face.
Right. I don't condone what Perron did, but I also don't condone what Kadri did when Perron hit him. He fucking turtled. End of story. Sorry. You don't get to say anything more. He fucking covered his head and turtled like a pussy.
Well, that's a good point because Shen challenged him to fight. Shen with broken ribs, by the way, challenged him to fight, and Kadri refused to. If Kadri answers the bell for what he did to Bennington, if he answers the bell and fights Shen, I don't think Perron and Bushnevich go after him like that.
Nope.
I don't.
Nope.
I mean, it worked out in Colorado's favor because they got the power play, they scored the goal. It all worked out in their favor. But I'm just saying, as far as that incident goes, that might not happen if he answers the bell and fights Shen like a respectable hockey player should have. According to the hockey code, anyway, if you believe in that kind of thing. Anyway, moving on.
Well, one light sound geometry in the YouTube chat brings up a point that I'm going to say the answer to this question is no. But the question is, all teams left have a goon rostered. Does Army need a bottom 9 policeman? I think the answer is no. I think Shen is that guy on this team, and Kadri wouldn't fight him.
Yeah,
Bortuzzo could be that guy.
And I think you need to have physical players on your team still to this day. And the Blues have that. I think with Shen, Bortuzzo, even Barbashev, very physical guys. But the knock on this team to me isn't they're not physical enough. It's that the guys getting the big minutes, Parayko, are not physical enough. And they're just not getting the job done. That's where the issue is for me.
Husso. We talked about Husso. The Armstrong and Husso. Ville and I had a conversation this morning. Armstrong said he's put himself in a very good spot. He had a great regular season. Obviously, the playoffs were up and down for all of us. That's the nicest way to say he had a fall off. He was put into a really difficult situation coming into the Colorado series. If I'm a Ville Husso fan, I told him I'd love to have him come back. Or I'm a Ville Husso fan, sorry. I told him I'd love to have him come back, but also it's a business for him. And he's put himself in a spot where now, where if he wants to test the market, I would understand it. It's a long time between today and July 13th when they're allowed to hit free agency. We have some time to work on it.
So is that right? July 13th? Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that the way he words that tells me he fully expects Ville Husso to test free agency, and we'll see what he gets offered. And then the Blues may make him an offer and then let him decide. So, I'm thinking that a team like Edmonton, especially, you knew going into the playoffs that Edmonton would like to have him. And after seeing Smith in the playoffs, they certainly want to have him, even though Husso wasn't amazing, but Steve Smith is Steve Smith. So,
Mike Smith.
Mike Smith.
Steve Smith is.
You got the Jeff
Same
Under
thing.
right.
I've ruined you.
I've ruined Jeff Smith earlier this year, right?
I just put Steve in front of people's names and hope it's right.
Right. That's true. That is so true.
Steve Price, Steve Day, and Steve Ponder.
Yeah. There is a
And
small
Steve
chance that I'll be
Bushnevich.
correct. Steve Bushnevich. I think it's a no-brainer to try and bring him back. I think they can offer him up to a certain amount, maybe like 2.5, and see what happens. I think a team that wants him may give him like 3 or 4. So I don't know. People are saying he might get 5 or 6. I'm like, that's batshit stupid. Nobody knows 5 or 6.
Well, it depends. It depends on who takes over in Ottawa, right?
I don't think he'd sign in Ottawa. You think he'd sign in Ottawa? Maybe if he's gonna be the number one,
I think money.
I think he'd wait for Edmonton to call. I think that's a much better spot for him.
I don't know. Ottawa, I think, is going to be a playoff team the next couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean,
maybe
Edmonton
just has to deal with 1 or 2 stinker years.
Right. Yeah. They'll be there soon with Brady and Stutzla and who's Shabbat on the back end.
Yeah.
And they're going to be good.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Husso back. I would love to see him and Bennington do the tandem. I just think that the money's going to be there, and somewhere else. And I also, just as a long-suffering Blues fan, 2019 notwithstanding, I can see a situation where Husso goes on to a team, leads them to a cup victory, and we're like, oh, we stuck with the wrong guy in a couple of years. But that's just 45 years of mostly negative conditioning here. But
yeah, Armstrong on Husso, Leddy, and Perron, and if he could really bring back all 3, Armstrong said, I wouldn't say no. We're going to go to work. If we can make it work, we will. That's a nothing answer that he gave, which probably means no, right? He doesn't think all 3 are going to be back. So
yep.
Free agency does start July 13th. The Blues have about $10 million in projected cap space. So we'll see what they do. They do have some people to take care of, and it's gonna be interesting.
Right.
Let's see if Armstrong watched tonight and was like, "Ooh, that 6-point plan from that Ponder guy works pretty well."
It's a good plan. All right. To close out the show, rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. We're just gonna. This might be a nice little discussion here. Makar's offside goal last night. I thought this was funny how this went for me personally.
Yeah,
because
you took a full 180.
How often does Kirk Price give up a point?
Yeah,
well,
right.
And usually when I take a stance on something, I look at it, I try and be smart about it. I try and be unbiased, impartial, and fair, whatever it is, especially with other teams. And I looked at this and I'm like, okay, I thought their argument was why they allowed the goal, or why they said it was onside, was because they said that Makar didn't have possession of the puck. And I was like, that's bullshit stupid. He's got the puck. He advances the puck in the zone. He's carrying the puck into the zone. But I was looking at it wrong. I wasn't looking at what the replay, what Toronto was looking at. So Makar obviously touches the puck. He steals the puck and touches it and advances it forward. Touches it twice. Touches it when he steals it, and then touches it right before the blue line. Pushes it ahead. And so the puck crosses the blue line, and Nichushkin is in the zone still. He's offside. So when the puck comes into the zone, it becomes a very short delayed offside moment because Makar hadn't touched the puck once it crossed the blue line, right? So Nichushkin, and before Makar touches the puck and before Makar enters the zone, Nichushkin is able to touch up on the blue line. And then Makar touches the puck and then crosses the blue line. So that, I was not even looking at that aspect of it. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, shit. I think I was right. So I think the NHL got it right based on that. I was just not looking at it that way. And I was totally on board with Jeff. I don't know if Jeff's changed his mind or not, if he's still on his stand. I totally agree with you in the morning. I'm like, yeah, Jeff, it's the worst call I've ever seen. And I'm like, wait a second. Right. I think I disagree with you now.
I will
No,
I will walk back that it was the second worst call in history. 1999 Stanley Cup Final Game 6 goal with Hall. I still think stands as number 1.
right.
But
Foot in the
I will
crease.
walk back. This was not the second worst call. But I will say, and Bill, I'm not sure what you're about to add here. I'll just get my piece in real quick. The the possession thing, I understand. I understand this, and I see it, and I say, okay, at the end of the day, this was probably called right. But how many goals, if we go back in the history of even just this season, how many goals do you think, if they looked at it this way, with this kind of a magnifying glass, actually end up being good goals? I think in the spirit of what we've seen, this is not a goal. How it's written, 100%. This was a clear onside. It's fine. But we have always been focused on, is the puck ahead of the blue line before the player tags? And the way that is called, no, clearly offside. So to me, this is just a matter of they've been getting it wrong up until this point. And to me, that's bullshit. The coach gets a penalty against him for challenging, and then it's a 2-goal swing because the other team scores. The Avalanche scored on the power play too. So to me, it's a bullshit call still. Not the worst in history, but a bullshit call because of the way we've seen this called up until this point.
Yeah. So the distinction here, right? And I had to go read my Elliot Friedman today to really understand this. The distinction is it was not a delayed offside. It wasn't, the hand was not up for a delayed offside because the puck wasn't in the zone. It was a tag up offside, right? And that's where the positioning of Makar, when he takes back control of the puck, right? He has control in the neutral zone, gives it up, lets it cross, gives Nichushkin enough time to tag up, and then he takes control back while he is still coming across the line. Right. It is correct. But everything we've ever been conditioned to think about offsides, it just feels wrong. Right. Yep. I completely agree with it. It took me really going back and reading Friedman's commentary several times, like, technically that makes sense. I don't like it, but it makes sense. And I saw in, some wonks Twitter circles where people were saying, that, Edmonton didn't know the rule. They didn't understand it. They're going to get screwed by this challenge. This is entirely different from earlier in the playoffs when Mike Sullivan and the Penguins were complaining about the Lafreniere pulling the helmet off. I forget what Penguins player it was. And they didn't understand that he could have picked it up. And they said, no, he took our guy out of the play. He had to come to the bench. They didn't understand that rule. Right?
Who doesn't understand that? I know that.
And that didn't make sense to me. But this is such a slim distinction that you hardly ever see come into this clear focus, right? That at the end of the day, you're like, this sucks for Edmonton, because I would have challenged that too. Any coach in their right mind is going to challenge that play.
That gets you have to anyway. 100 times out of 100.
The Avs are lucky the linesman missed it. And when I say missed it, if the linesman should have called it offside. Because
if the call on the ice was offside, right?
Yeah.
It's over. Right. It doesn't proceed.
And from the linesman's perspective, he should have called it offside. He's not there's no way it's a bang bang play. There's no way he's checking to see if the puck is still on Makar's stick when the puck crosses a line, and also watching Nichushkin come over. He's not doing that. You can't watch all that at once. He just missed the offside, or he thought, it's too close to call. If they score, we'll review it and get it right, which I think should be done more often. Yeah. But he missed the call, even though he was correct in missing the call, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, it does actually. In this one play, that does make sense.
Right.
And I will say, from the stills that I've seen, or the very brief gif of the contact and no contact with the puck. The linesman is not on the line. He is a foot and a half. From what I recall seeing, he is a foot and a half behind the line from where he's supposed to be. So bad positioning. At the end of the day, they got it right. It doesn't feel right. Right.
Ron McLean.
That's the beauty of the sport to me, right? Is there are so many nuances to even the most basic rules that we think we know in and out, that here we are. This is right. It sucks, but it's right.
Did you see what Ron McLean, he broke down the play? It was on Sportsnet. He broke it down wrong. And it's funny how the narrative initially with all the analysts was that Makar never had possession, and that was the narrative at first. And then people started actually talking to the NHL and saying, no, this is what happened. And so Ron McLean's breaking this all down, and he goes, yeah, Makar, he's going real ultra slow motion. Makar, okay, the puck is coming across the blue line. Makar hasn't touched it yet. And the puck crosses the blue line into the zone. Makar still hasn't touched it. Nichushkin then touches up. Then Makar touches it. I'm like, what kind of fucking horse shit is that? And so I watched that first. One of the first things I watched, I'm like, this is fucking batshit wrong. Everyone's wrong about this play, because everyone's then saying that Makar didn't have possession. He never touched it until it was inside the zone, which is completely wrong. He touched it twice. He touched it when he stole it, and he touched it to push it across the blue line. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, Ron, you're wrong, dude. I mean, I respect him and all, but he's fucking wrong. And then all of a sudden the narrative completely changed, and that wasn't what the call was based on at all. It wasn't based on possession, because it was based on possession. I'm like, he's carrying the puck across the blue line. He's got the puck. And I agree with you, Jeff, and I actually think there should be a rule change with this, because in offside situations, when you're coming in the zone like this, I agree with you, Jeff. It's not in the spirit of the rule. There's got to be a transition to if you have possession of the puck, it does. Your stick shouldn't have to be contacting the puck to be an offside. If you're carrying into the zone, the puck's with you, you're stick handling, and you come across the blue line, you've got the puck. When the puck comes across the line, it's either offside at that moment or it's not. You shouldn't have to touch it with the blade of your stick after the puck crosses the blue line for it to be offside. If you've got the puck and you've got possession.
How many times have we heard, like, well, he has possession? Like, we hear possession all the time when there's talks of an possible offside. And now we're learning that again, and it is in the rule book, so I get that, but how it's been preached for years, possession is what's most important. Now we're hearing, oh, it's not possession, it's the stick actually has to be on the puck. Like, what? That's news to me. That was never preached before. And it's just, it just, I don't know. Again,
it's not
the ruling.
It's not called
right,
that way.
But all of a sudden, it seems like the narrative has changed, and that is the fucking problem here.
Yeah, it's never been called that way. Now I've seen players come across the blue line and go to grab the puck, and they see someone's offside, and they stop and they pull back, because they would have been offside, and they let it go. I've seen that not called. So a player's smart in that regard. But yeah, I agree with you. You're carrying across the blue line. You've got the puck. It's never an issue of whether the stick's on the puck at the time of the offside call. It's never been looked at like that. And it's not anything we've been told ever. Even though I understand, fully, delayed offside. That's just, but yeah, weird play. And I wonder if they'll look at it. Probably not, because I'm sure they think the rule's fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's going to be forgotten about by the time the Stanley Cup final comes around, because there'll be another thing that happens that is much bigger.
That was a big goal. That was a 2-goal swing. They scored on the power play, or they scored on that. They scored on that play, and the challenge failed, and they scored on that power play. So that was just 2 goals right there, and that was the end of the period too. 14 seconds to go, something like that. And they scored to the power play to start the next period. God, that was huge. In a game that ended up being, 17-18. What was it? 9-7, 8-6, 8-6 final.
Edmonton lost on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
right.
It was a goofy game.
And tonight, I mean, fuck, the craziness. Who would have thought, right? The narrative was written after last night. The West doesn't need goalies, so the East has got the goaltending matchup you're gonna see, and still 8 goals in a fucking game. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. That's all I got, folks. Anything else you want to add at the end here?
I mean, obviously, 10 seasons, it's going to continue. This isn't the last episode of season 10 for us, but last true episode of the season. So 10 episodes, boys. Great work for
10 seasons.
what I've seen from the both of you. Love having you guys. Can't wait for season 11 in October to roll around and us to kick off another year of talking Blues hockey.
You know what we're going to do? Remember the old St. Louis Blues Channel 11 logo? Remember that? With the blue note kind of wrapped around the 11? Maybe we'll do a little 11 logo with a little mock, a little play on Channel 11's old logo.
I love
back in the day, huh?
You're a smart guy. I like that.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Katie and all folks.
Thinking ahead. KPLR.
KPLR.
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Thinking. You said Katie and L. That was 30.
KPLR. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I meant KPLR.
Yeah. No. It's been another great season. And for me personally, going to take a little bit of time off. I've got a whole lot of stuff going on in the personal life. Hopefully the next time that I'm on, I will be in a new podcast studio.
Ooh.
So
Bill is moving to Timbuktu.
Yes. Otherwise known as Glen Carvin. But if all goes well, my next show will be in a new location. So
sweet.
Next show though, I mean, there's a possibility we're going to have a blues mystery theater coming up in a couple weeks. So I wouldn't say that definitively yet.
No, I'm definitely not going to count any chickens at this point. But the next time we're doing game breakdowns and not cheeky commentary on an old game, yeah, for sure.
Cheeky commentary, I like that. Well, I forgot to share this with you guys, but I do have a schedule already kind of built out for this summer. Looks like maybe the week of July 4th. We'll want to have a show because that'll be the draft the following weekend. So,
what day is that?
Well, July 6th is that Wednesday.
Yeah,
okay.
July 4th.
If I'm even in town for July 4th weekend, we'll see.
Well, if not, the next week we will be talking free agent signings. Actually, July 13th, first day of free agency, is on a Wednesday. So I think that will be a perfect time to have a show for us.
Yeah, that the players got what they wanted there, and no more, free agency while they're trying to take their vacation at their lake cottage in Canada.
Yeah,
it's sucks for those of us that could spend some time in front of the TV on those lazy days, but July 13th, why not?
Yep. No. So, I would say again next week. Expect to show. I mean, expect to show every single week. There will be one every week for the whole summer. But next week I will have something new. Maybe and again, follow us on social media. LGB Radio on Twitter. I think it's facebook.com/Let's Go Blues Radio. I believe that's correct. Could be wrong. Either way, search. It's a page. Let's Go
LGB Radio, isn't it?
You might be right.
Maybe.
As well as Instagram. We're everywhere. Just follow us, as well as you can see on the video here. We've got our Twitter hashtags on there. I will be posting when shows will happen, who will be on them, what you can expect. Just make sure you stay tuned, and we will have some perfect summer content for you.
Right. And when I find that free time, we'll get our TikTok channel going, right?
Yes. Yeah, Bill, you're working on that for sure.
You guys familiar with Vegas Blues fan who's on Twitter? Comments a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong opinions on things.
Yes.
He commented on my tweet about Rosen being a good depth signing. He said, as long as he stays at Springfield, it's a good deal. He is okay as a fill-in, but with the Blues injuries, he played way too many games, and it showed he is not an NHL quality player.
Disagree, sir.
At the beginning of it, yes, but by the end of it, he fit in well.
He did fit in well at the end. Yeah,
a lot of a lot of nice comments here in the YouTube chat. We'll get to before we close up. Matt Harris, I love LGBT radio. Woohoo! Pride Month. And yeah, I'll just add on that something I say every Pride Month and something I truly believe. Be yourself. Be proud to be yourself, and not just in June. Be happy with who you are, and that's why I think Pride Month is so important for everyone. Be proud of who you are. And Matt, I hope you had a good first day of Pride Month, because I always enjoy this month too. It's a lot of fun.
Everything is for everyone. How about that for a slogan?
There you go. Matt Harris says, I wish you peace of mind and rest, Bill. Ken Morris, I hope to do my vintage car shows this summer in Nova Scotia. Amazon has a library of your shows. Is that true?
What? Sorry?
He says, Ken Morris, Amazon has a library of our shows.
We're on Amazon. Yeah. Amazon music streaming. Yeah. Podcasts.
I did not know that.
You do now.
And Facebook. Did you guys notice that Facebook posts our actual podcast episodes too?
No.
It doesn't come up on our page, but it posts and says Let's Go Blues Radio has a new podcast episode. So apparently you can listen to just the podcasted version on Facebook as well. But if you're going to watch or listen on Facebook, why not just, look at our beautiful faces and watch the video?
All right. Great season, podcast wise and team wise. It was fun. Thanks to everyone who participated in the YouTube chats all season long. A lot of fun, and we'll keep this going in the off season. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to add real quick. Let's not forget that if you can rate us over at iTunes or any place that allows rating, that helps us gain an audience. Will even help us gain sponsors, and if we get more sponsors, the better quality the show will be, and the more content we can provide. So make sure you give us some positive ratings over there on iTunes or wherever if you really enjoy the show.
I think iTunes is one of the only ones that does the ratings thing, right?
I think you're right. I don't think so.
Go on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating if you think we deserve it. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode, what is this, 34? No, 42? 42. 42 of season 10 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thank you for listening all season long, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats all season long during the live shows. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bo Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, it was an empty fucking water bottle. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Cardinals. And let's go Steve.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite